drama. I whoop that ass like Michael Obama. Yeah, I got that big D energy. Ain't nobody wanna step to me. And if you really wanna bring that drama, I whoop that ass like Michael Obama.
No, Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay.
I really had a I'm like a llama. I whip that thing out like Michael Obama.
We already have it with
I got that
Obama,
big
so
energy.
let's just calm down.
Nobody wanna step to me. And if you really wanna bring that drama, I whip that ass like Michael Obama. I'm a girl, 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 I'm a whip them thing out like Michael Obama. I got that big energy. Ain't nobody wanna step like me. And if you really wanna bring that drama, I whip that ass like Michael Obama. Ain't got that clip, bitch. Hung like a llama. I whip that dick out. I wanna be rich, but not self-rich. Know too much, get left in the ditch. CIA scratches, its clicks getting itch. Yeah, I wanna be rich, but not self-rich. I wanna be rich, but not self-rich. Wiki leaking, now your dome into a ditch. You wish the simulation had glitch. You wanna be rich, but not self-rich. I wanna be rich, but not self-rich. Know too much, get left in the ditch. CIA scratches, its clicks getting itch. Yeah, I wanna be rich, but not self-rich. I wanna be rich, but not self-rich. Wiki leaking, now your dome into a ditch. You wish the simulation had glitch. You wanna be rich, but not self-rich. I wanna be rich, but not self-rich. Wiki leaking out your dome into a ditch. You wish the simulation had a glitch. You wanna be rich, but not self-rich. I wanna be Layla hates the hotties. Oh yeah, Layla, she hates the hotties. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she hates the hotties. Oh yeah. She hates the hotties.
Can't you save us, Britney Spears? Can we be saved? God, why is Satan controlling the universe?
The world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing who our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys. Witches, widows, MAGA, misfits, entertaining cunning linguists, good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically. Good guys. Conspiracy, sex, culture, making it's okay to change your thinking. Good guys. Good guys. Good guys. Good guys. The world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing woo. Our possibilities come true, but what we do is call out to the good guys. Good guys. Witches, widows, MAGA, mystics, entertaining cunnilinguists. Good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically. Good guys. Conspiracy, sex, culture, making it's okay to change your thinking. Good guys. Good guys. Good guys. Good guys.
Big up yourselves. Happy Friday, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Secret Society of Good Guys. As always, we are your good guys. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe or bell or thumbs up or whatever, wherever you're finding this, whatever the good thing is. Otherwise, keep it to yourself. Anyways, how are you guys? Right out of the gate, I took like such a big drag and I didn't think it was gonna be so big. So then I was like, oh, how are you, good guys? I'm gonna choke.
Oh, it happens to the best of us.
I don't know. I know exactly when it ends, but for some reason I was not prepared today.
I gotta ask, are we on YouTube today?
We totally are. And here's how I'm gonna tell you. Everywhere, every post, every other place, I'm seeing that they are coming out with proof that myocarditis and blood clots and flame cancers and all this stuff are started from the mRNA vaccine. And I'm tired of saying jibby jabby. So, this may cost me one or both of the YouTube accounts. So do make sure you follow all the people on the stage so you can find us every week. We will have another account if we get taken down. But yeah, I think it's okay that we talk about VAIDS and SIDS and AIDS and herpes and autism. And I'm tired of beating around the bush.
Sudden adult death syndrome.
Yeah, I'm tired of pretending when we've been right all along. You should have never vaccinated yourself. You should have never masked yourself. You should have never tested yourself. And if any of the propaganda machines are playing along with doing things like censoring the Secret Society of Good Guys for saying it, it's all the more reason you should find us somewhere else and stop supporting those corporations altogether, because they're literally tried to genocide you. And so
and if you're sleeping around with people, just know you were vaxxed. If you're out there being a little whore, guess what? Not using protection, you're vaxxed. There's a thing also called vaccine shedding. People who are vaccinated experiencing symptoms of the jibbity jab. And if you're surrounded by a lot of people who just were like just freshly jabbed, chances are you were shedded upon. And just saying.
And so I also think this should just be where we just like tear adrenochrome. We could just say it here. Like, you don't say it anywhere.
We're not unfiltered.
What happened?
We're unfiltered tonight, huh?
Yeah, well, I'm just like, you know what? We've been right about everything else that we've lost accounts about or gotten shadow banned about. And so it would be crazy if we didn't. So I'm like, Thomas should not do anything to get his his little network ever in trouble. But if we're already saying vaccines tonight,
Thomas, where do you want to go? It's crazy because Juan just got his channel not even a strike, but just straight up demonetized for 3 months, and all he did was had a meme of Luigi being escorted out by all the FBI guys, right? He's in like the jumpsuit and all the FBI guys are walking out, and in the background it had like a little flat earth graphic, and it said like, this is how flat earthers do if whatever. It was like a meme, right? And it had the old Coolio song or whatever going behind it, and that was a 13-second short, and they were like, you are now basically promoting violent criminal organizations, you're gone. Which is crazy.
Entertainment purposes only.
Right? Is that true?
Make sure you find one-on-one on any other place that he is if you are a supporter then of his channel. Because even watching this right now, and we try to take out all the mid-roll commercials and everything, but YouTube, they every 6 seconds they add a 90-minute commercial. You might be watching, like it always happens to me that I wake up and I'm watching those two brothers, one of them's married to Taylor Swift, the Kelsey, whatever. They have a podcast and it's a commercial on my YouTube. Like your podcast is not getting a view if it's a forced commercial that you're paying for on my YouTube. And I was watching Paranoid American when I fell asleep and I wake up and this bullshit's on.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, all those people, everybody go find them in other places because YouTube isn't long for the world unless somebody does it. It's just a dying platform. It makes me so irritated.
So
Discovery on the daily
if these accounts get canceled, we'll still be here somewhere.
Well, you got to keep just popping them up over and over again, but it just turns into like a horrible whack-a-mole game, not even a fun one. So yeah, the first one that lets you, and I actually don't think that Rumble is that much better. I think they just have less resources to police. I don't think that they're worse than YouTube, but I just feel that once you get to a certain size, the corporation just eat you alive, no matter who the hell you are, no matter what kind of like principles you got behind you.
Yeah.
What have you noticed on X right now, uploading your videos to X?
Not actually. The best example is David Charles Plate, who's been on this show before. He's got Syncflix, where he uploads entire movies, like 2-3 hour movies in HD, but he pairs them with different albums. So you got copyrighted music and copyrighted video, and he puts them both up and publishes them. But that in itself is transformative work. But some of the movies he's put up, like I don't want to maybe Caligula, but like the level of Caligula at some points. So it's a little bit crazy on how far he's been able to push that envelope. So honestly, X seems the best all around to put a video in and get traction on it. Although now there's really no like monetization built in, so you got to be doing it just for the love of doing it.
Well, it's not built in until you get all the little check marks of like enough followers and enough interaction and enough whatever.
I just don't think one video would do it. If you have one, because I had a couple threads that got like 15 million views or whatever on Twitter, and I think that was like $200 for 15 million views. So that it's really not a lot. Comparison, if you had 15 million views on Rumble or on YouTube or on hell, the audio platform, that's bringing in way more than $200.
Isn't it like not just views though? It's how long you're retaining their attention.
I don't know how I don't know how any of those work. I know for the other platforms, yeah, it's how many ads they can pump at you. But Twitter, it's not necessarily how many advertisements you've seen. It's just about how many impressions and likes and reshares and all that stuff.
But I've like learned some interesting stuff about Twitter. It's like even if you post something on X that, like, let's say Abbie does a really cool Instagram and I want to show Abbie's Instagram, it's better for me to take a picture of Abbie's Instagram and post it on X than it is for me to post a link where it sends them off the platform. Like X will slowly take away your reach if you send people off the platform.
That's every social network. If you think about it, the last thing they want you to do is to move away from their platform. This is the entire reason why Facebook blew up, because they had these Facebook games where people could log in. It almost reminds me of old school AOL from like the mid to late 90s, where there was so many people that would log into AOL and hear the "You've Got Mail" message, and they just thought that was the whole internet. They never went outside. They didn't know what a browser was. None of that. Just everything in AOL. You could get to the chat rooms and to the different news groups. And it wasn't until Netscape, I think, came out. Netscape Navigator.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, people were like, "Wait, there's an internet outside of this walled garden."
Right.
And Facebook and social media and Instagram and X and all those, they're trying to recapture that like tunnel vision that AOL sort of started out as the default.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to Lucy, even if it's your early birthday, but it just makes me
Happy
laugh because
birthday.
everybody's like, happy birthday, Lucy, happy birthday, Lucy. And then look at this is my favorite shit. Happy birthday, Lucy Goosey.
No, seriously, happy birthday.
Seriously.
Happy birthday. We love you.
And thank you, Johnny, for the super chat. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I saw it was
way
$1.
better than getting
Thanks, baby
views or
boy.
ad revenue or super chats.
I'll go find it. Yeah, super chats are awesome. And is that in Canadian money?
Oh, get your stinking Canadian money out of here. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh, guy. We're in a war right now. I don't know if you know that, but America and Canada are at war right now.
You guys, are you from the timeline by any chance where this hockey tournament has ever been a thing? Because it's not on my timeline.
The what? The what?
The
Exactly.
four, it's like the four kings. I don't know what it's fucking called. Four something.
Never
And
heard of it.
it's like Canada and the United States and then two other countries, and they're all playing hockey against each other in this Olympic style hockey tournament. And it's been all this thing because I guess at the first one, when they played the American national anthem, the entire arena booed. So then, and there was like 3 fights in the first 9 seconds in the auditorium. Like Americans were like, fuck that noise. And they like got in fights because of people booing their national anthem. Then, I don't know what game it was, but then the American fans booed the Canadian national anthem. But I didn't even know it was a thing. I haven't seen 1 second of the actual ice or any footage. I've just heard about this through murmurings of everybody online.
I read about that. Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually see it, obviously.
Yeah, I don't even know who won last night. I'm
Isn't
assuming
that-
the Americans.
But that's hockey doing what it's supposed to do, is that people got into a bunch of fights and it turned into like a controversial moment, right? And then you don't hear about it again for a year.
Yeah, I'm like, everybody always like, oh, I like hockey because of the fights. I'm like, I just watch MMA.
I will say that hockey wins over soccer any day of the week. I hate how they keep pushing soccer on me. I don't want
You
soccer.
know what
I'll
sport
take
is
hockey.
so
like
underrated
soccer.
in the United States? Like, I would love to watch rugby. I wish, like, I would go to rugby and watch that shit. It's like, it's more brutal than freaking football. Because they don't wear pads.
That's
Is
true.
there a whole bunch of CTE with rugby? Like, to me, CTE is such a conspiracy. Like, I don't believe it, even the whole football push of it. Not that there isn't some kind of traumatic brain injury that goes along and everything, but there is an
CTE?
yeah, like
Concussive something.
Yeah.
It's when the football players and boxers get hit so many times throughout their life that the brain starts to actually degrade.
Muhammad Ali?
Or they just try to explain away things that aren't CTE on CTE, like, oh, a wrestler kills his whole family. Oh, it's because of the amount of ladders he took to the head.
Right, that's
Oh,
another thing, is that people with CTE, according to what you're talking about, are known to have like these unpredictable wild outbursts, or they like revert back into some kind of a primal state.
Or they even will be like, oh, Sam Kennison used to be a whole different person when he was 7 years old, and then he was in a car accident. When he was 8 years old, he was a whole different person. And it's just like,
but I watched that with my family member. Like, he was like a cattle person, like cattle rancher, and worked cattle his whole life. This one day they were like putting cattle in the chute to load it onto the truck, and this freaking steer turned around and freaking jumped at him and knocked him down and landed on his head. 900 pounds on his head. It broke his like C2 vertebrae, and he had to wear like a halo forever. He was totally different after that.
A halo?
Like,
well, that seems a huge.
like he was okay. Like he healed everything fine because he's like Christian Science. Like,
That's one of those
he had to go to the
legit
doctor.
CTEs. Like, that's
But-
not, he wasn't faking that one.
No, it wasn't fake. And he was like, but I mean, he was like, he was family and was hitting on me and like everyone, like knocking on women's doors and like going, hey, you want to go ride horses? like he was married and he never did that kind of shit before.
Want to go ride a horse?
Yeah.
Save
How
the
weird would
horse,
that be if
ride a
somebody
cowboy.
just knocked on your door that you barely know and they're like,
Fucking
hey.
weirdos.
Or hear me out, he used that traumatic incident to like introduce this new vice that he'd been baking on for a while.
part of me wonders that too. So,
or if a lot of the incidences aren't the same as like SIDS or something else where they're just a vaccine injury.
he was Christian Science, so he was never vaccinated. So I know
Well,
that.
maybe not the guy with the 900-pound bull on his head.
Yeah.
But the majority of these people, yeah, especially now after 2020, for sure. Like you had strong, like incredible, like Hulk type men like fall to this vaccine. And people don't want to question it. It's like so mind-boggling. I don't know why I got cancer. I don't know why blah 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 myocarditis.
Layla,
Ask the question. Yeah.
Lucy wants for her birthday you to do a mic check and just whisper, "You want to go ride a horse?"
Right now.
I think you already did it, but now do it again because it's Lucy's birthday. She can have whatever she wants.
Do you want to go ride a horse?
I don't know why that's so stupid funny to us. You should call the White House and do it now.
I want to go ride a horse.
I wonder at what point they actually send someone after you for pranking the White House.
Oh, I don't want that. I like the White House right now.
Did we ever get the next steps on like actually applying? I
Oh,
think
no.
actually I was talking to Andreas about this.
Oh,
Zerdis.
really?
And really the biggest obstacle is that you just got to fund your way to actually go to DC or wherever the hell it is and like be on the ready.
Interesting. It's going to happen one day. It will happen. It will happen.
Oh my
God said, "I love you."
I know.
Oh, God. Hey, I work for
know.
him.
You work for God.
God.
Yeah, God Pill Angel. Oh.
We all work for God. I was actually just rewatching the animated Bible Tales series from I think it was from the 80s or the 90s. It was so wild. The stories that they were dropping on this. The very first episode was freaking Binding of Isaac, which is the most traumatizing story to tell any kid, I think.
The Binding of Isaac.
This is where Abraham has to bring his kid up onto Mount Moriah.
Okay,
And
I was like,
basically sacrifice the kid. But the way that they present this in classic 1980s Saturday morning cartoon style is just masterful.
what a weird thing for you to be like watching right now. What made you revisit that?
I don't know, just the juxtaposition. Also, I've been talking to so many like hardcore Bible people that are all about Bigfoots in the Bible and Nephilim are in the Bible and giants and all of the wild stuff. And I was like, I need to get back to my baseline, like my roots, which were like this Bible series. But it was always that crazy. Like you don't need to have a weird conspiracy theorist start a podcast to talk about giants and Nephilim and like weird things happen in the Bible. Like it was there from the very first beginning.
It really is.
No, the Bible is weird.
It's the craziest. It's like taking me so long in my conspiracy life and even being able to be honest about like, hey, you guys, I think dragons are real and I believe in this stuff. But when you look at the Bible, it has the crazy, like Godzilla. You guys, I think Godzilla and King Kong are like the shit they're not talking about. That's so crazy. What about Leviathan? Whoop. Well, I mean, I don't know. I just think the Bible really does have the juiciest core of even like, what are they called? Chimera.
Chimera.
I should have stopped and said it in my head that time.
I know, because when you said it in your head, you said it right.
I know. Oh my shit. Thomas, I've learned about myself. I have to picture myself saying words. Like I have to watch myself outside myself say the word to get it right sometimes. And that's
I always bring this up whenever someone's talking about like mispronouncing words, or like usually it's a noble trait. Like even if you're mispronouncing words, it means that you read it somewhere before you heard someone else say it, which means you read, which means that you care about, thinking new things and learning new stuff. So even if someone completely butchers a word, I'll never in a million years ever criticize or laugh about it, because it shows that they were like trying to learn something on
They're
their
literate.
own. God forbid, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
God forbid.
100%.
God.
God.
God in the room forbid. What else?
Do you think God actually cares if you mispronounce something, or say his name, but you say it with like a little bit of mean twang to it?
God's like tomato.
Well, that's what always see, that was always my juxtaposition, because I had friends who were like super into the church and everything, and I'd go to their house and you couldn't say, "Oh my God," and you couldn't say "Jeez," because Jesus is short for Jesus, and you couldn't say, "Oh my word," because the word is the Bible. Like all this shit. And I was like, well, what the hell do I say? You know?
You can't say hell.
Yeah, absolutely not. But the thing that really always
Jumping Jehoshaphat. I've heard that one, but I guess that would still also.
yeah, any of it. Like you can't say any of it. So it's like
Jumping
all the little
Jehoshaphat.
exclamations that you would say that, it's just like they were just thrown out the window, and I forgot what my point was with that, because I did have a point, but
Well, did they ever tell you? Did they ever tell you what you were allowed to say in that house to express shock?
oh my, you could say oh my.
Oh my what?
Nothing.
Doesn't that imply oh my God?
No, not
That
really.
seems like a crappy workaround.
But is it like G's? I'd never thought of G's being like short for Jesus. But
Oh,
anyways,
geez.
this was it. This was my point. But God is not God's name. So don't use the Lord's name in vain. God isn't his name.
No, but isn't there something else about actually that saying specifically that it's not using God's name in vain? That it like we have it all wrong. It's something specific. Like in the Bible, it's actually a whole different translation what it means to use his
Possibly.
name
It's
in
one of the
vain.
10 Commandments.
I don't know.
I think we all have it wrong. But who am I? I don't know anything. But looking at nature and how nature is created, it's not what reflects the stories that they give us. So I'm just going to leave that little tidbit for you guys to think about what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, I think it's an essence that we don't want to come to an agreement with right now. But it's okay. We'll all find out slowly but surely, because I don't want to come off as a man hater, because I'm not.
Sounds like a threat.
I didn't even. I know. I was like, I did not see that coming.
Blah, blah, blah.
Nature. It's there. It tells you. It's plain as day. But I'm just gonna leave that tidbit. So Ariana Grande was probably right.
What,
and we live in a womb.
When she licked the cookie and put it back?
Wasn't it a donut?
It was a donut, yeah. That was her, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild that now she's like not eating donuts at all? Like she went from one extreme to the other.
I wish I could eat donuts. 7 more
No,
weeks.
I don't hate you guys. I really don't. I'm just tired of the fucking lies. I'm tired of the cover up. And it's like somewhere along the line, some man was pissed off that, oh my God, these bitches could fucking bring life on this earth. Like, what are we, just chopped liver? And he got butthurt and decided, you know what? Fuck these bitches. I'm going to make God a fucking man, because we are the fucking guys. We are the protectors. We are this. We're strong. Cool beans, cool story.
They burned them at the stake. Like, what was that you just shared today?
Well, I have it up. I was about to pull it up, but I didn't want to
Yes.
change the topic really quick. But I thought this was kind of interesting. Newly approved tartan design memorializes those persecuted under Scotland's Witchcraft Act. So in Scotland, a new Scottish tartan has been created to honor the thousands of people, primarily women, executed for witchcraft in Scotland between the 16th and 18th centuries. The Witches of Scotland is a movement seeking justice for people accused of convicted under witchcraft in the Act of 1563 to 1736. The Witches of Scotland Heartland is part of a campaign to recognize what advocates call one of the greatest miscarriages of justice in the nation's history. The design was registered on February 11th, 2025. And so it's like in the registry now of like a Scottish tartan.
Interesting.
Ooh,
Interesting.
that's going to be my background next week.
I mean, and I'm not saying it to be like harsh, but I'm just saying it because like it makes sense. It's like The fertilizer is the fertilizer. The egg is the egg. Who is the holder of the egg? Who is the holder of life? Like, you know, that's what a seed is. The seed is that. It's the egg. It's the seed. It gets planted, you know? And what does it need to grow? Fertilizer. It needs food. That's all it needs. It needs to eat something. So pretty much the egg came first and ate the fucking serpent. Ate the sperm. But I don't know shit. This is just what I understand nature to be. And we're not going according to nature. And if we start nurturing nature accordingly, I think life would be better on this planet for everybody.
I'm more of a cynic on this one, just because I feel that even if this debate is happening, even if there is a right answer to all of it, there's a scientist somewhere that's like, I don't need either of you. He's like, I don't need
that's very
the guy
true.
or the girl. I can just take
Bill
your
Gates.
discarded like Starbucks cup and make a new person out of that.
Yeah.
And like you can have your debate. And I feel that's probably gonna just kind of like come by night, and all of a sudden it's gonna be a normal thing, and there won't be like a transitionary period between one and the other. It'll like someone's gonna let the cat out of the bag, and then it's just gonna be like, oh, I can do that.
That's very true. Bill Gates, that motherfucker.
Elon, maybe.
Yeah, him too.
Well,
Who
I
knows?
think it's interesting just in like the vaccine conversation of if I'm trying to do the most amount of damage, this is just like in an evil villain way. I'm wasting my poison on men, because if I can mess up a girl, I can mess up her grandchildren.
Yeah.
Whereas if I mess up a man, not that there isn't stuff that's permanent, but most of the stuff inside, like a man can recreate, you know, like something like every 74 days or something, the sperm is completely rejuvenated inside of a man. Whereas all of us came from our grannies. Like when our mom was in utero, we were all in our mom in utero. So
everybody was, because
Yes,
everyone's
this is what I
technically
mean.
female, no?
Well, but regardless of where you're at now, we were all inside our grandmothers. And so if I'm just have a certain amount of poison, I think my poison would go further by like HPV shots and convincing women that, oh, men can't test for this thing. Only you guys can. Only you guys get this, because then I'm affecting generations of kids. Whereas with a dude, maybe I can affect his next couple of sexual partners.
Yeah.
You know, like so I just think like if I'm just being maniacal, why would I waste my poison as much on men? Like they could have the slow poison of messing with the hormones over time, where I'm going to poison them with plastic so they just slowly become bitchy. But I actually think that could just still be a vaccine injury from the grandma.
Well, because even the plastics, the idea of being inside your grandmother's womb, like the female lines, like your testosterone levels are affected by it. So if we're going along that line of thinking, like what you do now while you're pregnant will affect 2 generations of your family, period. So if you're like taking in tons of xenoestrogens and microplastics, then that's going to be passed on into your embryos and your child's embryos, or their eggs.
Isn't that good though? Shouldn't we be preparing our kids for this world full of microplastics? Like, shouldn't we be microdosing them with microplastics? So by the time they're actually in the world, they've got like a little bit of I guess the microplastics themselves are a vaccine.
I wish I knew what it was called though, but there's this whole new plague that's going on with pregnant ladies, and they're young pregnant ladies. And while they're pregnant, like in their 3rd trimester of pregnancy, their blood pressure is skyrocketing, so much so that they're like borderline about to seize or stroke out. And they're young, healthy girls, like their whole life. And to me, this is shit that they're injecting. And some of these people didn't get the mRNA vaccine. Preeclampsia. Thank you. This is something that I feel like in conspiracy medical stuff, people need to start looking into and ASAP, because part of this, a lot of moms that are new moms, they had the worst pregnancy of their life, and a lot of them did everything to like have their home birth, have their natural pregnancy, do all this, but because all of a sudden their heart rate skyrockets, they induce the labor and pop the water, then they have to fill it with fake water inside the womb, and now the baby's heart rate is fucking collapsing, and then emergency C-section. And so all these ladies go through all of this stuff to have a whole different birth. Then they're having to have emergency C-sections, but it's because of they all have this exact condition that I preeclampsia.
I just listened to this doctor do this whole talk on preeclampsia and actually because and even morning sickness, severe morning sickness, that is actually caused by the father because the father is half the genetic material and the father is
bastard.
like the father's sperm and DNA epigenetic material is responsible for building the placenta, which is the cause of all of it. So like really a man's health is just as important as a woman's health. Like
Well, when you're creating the baby, all of it matters.
Yeah.
Like in that moment, all of it matters. It's just we are like, because we're all still from our grandmother, so we're all still poisoned in that way, guy or girl. It just is like,
because if you think about it, our grandparents are probably like drinking and smoking the whole time they were pregnant. Just
I
like
know, and they tried to blame cigarettes and booze, and
Yeah.
it wasn't that.
No.
And they also were talking about how the vaccines actually has caused a lot of miscarriages. Instead of it being a normal miscarriage, you're finding that the placenta was attacking the baby, like it was closing in on the baby and like trying to like get rid of it. I don't know if it's like nature's way of saying, hey, this thing is not supposed to be here, or was it was the vaccine constructed for the placenta to act that way? I don't know, but it's an alarming rate of miscarriages that are happening.
I know people right now that they are like their lungs are shutting down and turning to glass lungs. Their kidneys are shutting down. And these are actually people that did get mRNA vaccines or and boosters. Some of them just one, but some of them follow-ups. And they have VADS. They have vaccine autoimmune death syndrome. I'm tired of calling it. It's not a deficiency. It's not you. They did it on purpose to you. And so it doesn't matter if it's adult death syndrome. It doesn't matter if it's AIDS. AIDS had nothing to do with HIV. That's a whole different thing they did. Like it's infuriating to me that the amount of blame that parents are taking for stuff that they think they're doing right by, and the amount of young kids that are having, and I just think any of us, take your age now, take 10 years off of it. That is a young version of you. You know more now. So everybody sits on this high horse of, I would never, but you only have as much information as you have at the time. And you think you're doing all the right things. And so the idea that kids think they're doing the right things, having kids and in the hospital situation and everything's going wrong, that they did. Like it was nothing at the fault of us. And it's just making me insane that the most natural thing on the planet, the two most natural things on the fucking planet that can happen, is for a man and lady to have sex and for a lady to give birth. Those might be the two most natural fucking things on the planet. So that either of those things are concerning the medical industry now is fuckery. Like constant. So like 50% of the dudes can no longer get their dick up without the medical industry, and 50% of the ladies can no longer have a kid without their intervention. That is fuckery. And so I think something's amiss if the two most natural things that should be happening in the medical industry is getting involved and trying to convince you it's a sickness. Something's fucked up.
Well, it's all magic. We know, we've talked about it over and over again. And the literal terminology and what it means, the etymology of it literally means magic, sorcery. I like mercury alone is used in black magic, and especially for jinn magic. You want to capture a jinn or keep it in something, mercury is like the best material to be used to go and send jinn. So imagine injecting that with other metals such as aluminum, and then chemicals like formaldehyde, and then aborted fetus cells, HEC 23 or HEC 3, whatever the fuck it's called, and then all these other animal structures, swine,
Plant DNA,
cow, monkey, venom. I mean,
Dog.
you
Yeah.
name it. And they put eggs of different species inside those vials. So it's like, I don't understand how parents think any of those materials going inside of your child's body will do them any good or protect them in any way, shape, or form when God has given them the most amazing thing that they can own, and that's their immune system. All you got to do is build it. They have to.
It's so wild because whenever you talk about vaccines, what you're really talking about is bypassing every single like self-defense mechanism that our bodies have got from whether it's from God or evolution, whatever you believe. There's like a whole set of sort of like checks and balances, right, to make sure before something gets all the way into your bloodstream, it's had to pass all these different tests, unless you just go directly there, right? So
Yeah.
it's just like, I don't know other people's experience of the medical industry, but every single time I've ever had to interact with it because of myself or family members or friends, it's just constantly people fucking up left and right,
Think
and
about this,
making
though.
bad calls or just doing dumb human shit. And
Yeah.
that's all I can think of is like you see a doctor coming at you with the big hypodermic needle and just think, here's just a bunch of fucking mistakes they're about to put into somebody.
Now, you know how
Well,
we always talk about magic and spirits and jinn and demons and all of this and like Solomon seals and, the whole play on these jinn. And we talk about how these people in control are
What?
fucking magicians and whatnot.
Look
We
at
know this. So now imagine
APV
like what they
60,
know.
parents are 106.
That's biblical right there, man. I mean, they're over half the way there to Abraham.
Go on. Sorry, Layla. I was
I
like,
have
106? Good fucking grief.
Now imagine taking that technology and knowing what certain metals can do, and then you wonder why your child is confused if it's a male or a female. They're confused and thinking that they're autistic or bipolar or whatever the case is. It's usually because of this. And sometimes a lot of people think that these people are I guess, possessed by some sort of demon. When you think about that in a deep, esoteric, magical way, that's probably what they're doing. They're all sorcerers and they probably connect with that realm and we don't know it. And they probably say, hey, we want to, get into these bodies. How do we do it? Oh, can you open their DNA with this and this metal? And then I can take over that body and that person can, that entity could take over that body or as many bodies as they want if we're opening the gates.
I think they're
Bill Gates.
closing the DNA. That's why there's the telomeres, 'cause they look like actual caps on the DNA. But to go back to what Thomas was saying, um, the breastfeeding is like the biggest example. Like we're vaccinating newborn babies, okay? And they tell you all the time breastfeeding is best. But how much of formula and everything and bottle feeding is pushed and how much is breastfeeding not? Really, if when we think about it, like it was very taboo for a long time. Like women had to go like breastfeed in the toilet. They couldn't like do it in public and everything. By the time I was breastfeeding, it was law in California that you had the right to breastfeed anywhere. So I sure as hell walked around and I breastfeed my kid. I didn't give a shit.
The idea that had to be a law set in place.
Isn't that it's disgusting, right? But my point with that is we vaccinate brand new babies, but it's not even necessary. The minute that the baby's face, if they're anywhere near anything infectious and then they come up to the mother's breast automatically starts making the antibodies for whatever is bothering them, whatever sicknesses that are like
And
breast
isn't
milk
it
is the cure.
symbiotic too? Like the
Yes.
baby creates stuff that it goes into the mother. So if she's like ill, the baby will heal her. Like it's like from placenta all the way to like they have this symbiotic relationship of breastfeeding.
Does
Yeah,
that
so
mean when
let's
you
go ahead
like
and give them all these vaccines, but, the breast milk will work, the breastfeeding will work, like, that's the whole point of it, but then we don't fricking really advocate for breastfeeding. Like, it literally was, what, just within the last 20 years that they made it a law where in some states don't have it to where a woman has the right to breastfeed anywhere.
I'm shouting out to Sacred Organics, and We got a super chat, and you guys are awesome. Where the fuck have I been? Can you do an episode on wireless intra-body communication and biocyber interface lipid nanoparticles? What do you guys think about nanotechnology and the vaccines as well? About you becoming like a little crypto counter?
That's
Like
where I
the
felt
more
like they
gallons and
opened up the
stuff.
DNA to implement like this new technology. That's why it's mRNA. So it's like messenger RNA to deliver to the DNA and somehow add the extra strand of DNA that they were talking about to create a 3-strand DNA system, which is the 666. And it went all into that weird 666 world of like it being the mark of the beast, and then you will be owned and patented. And that's the only reason why I feel like that they opened our DNA, or not all of us, but the main purpose of it.
Have any of you guys ever seen that show Utopia? There was like a UK version and there was like an American version.
Mm.
The premise is basically that, and this was pre-pandemic, that both versions of Utopia came out, and it came out and basically everyone has to get this vaccine, and that happens is that kind of like we're discussing, only your great-great-grandparents essentially have to get it, and it affects everyone after that. And what it does is it turns everyone to be sterile by default, that no one can have kids at all. As soon as you're
Oh,
born,
I
you
see.
can't have
Yeah.
kids unless you get the antidote, and then the antidote becomes this like the ultimate currency, the thing that you play by the rules, because then you might be able to get this antidote. It's almost like the Children of Men movie. I think that's what it's called, where the government kind of like bans it, but this one they actually enforce it chemically so that now there's just the carrot you have to go after. There's no stick. There's just this carrot of, well, if I want to have kids, then I have to go and play by these rules. Or there could be like a deeper version too, where they realize that it's going to affect everyone except for a small group of people that maybe been identified, and then slowly everyone but this group of people starts to show side effects of it, but then it makes it easier to pinpoint those people. If this is like a Fabian society move, right, this wasn't about one generation or two, maybe this is about like 3 or 4 generations into the future. They're going to have markers to be able to figure out who reacted certain ways, and now all of a sudden you can decide who you want to raise a family with, or who you even want to have like in your entire country. I mean, there's all sorts of interesting ways that this is going to be an easy marker.
Yeah. I also feel like, I don't know if this is true or not, but I believe this is part of the theory of them having like different vials going to different blood types and certain blood types to see who reacts to what and what blood type reacts to what and what group of ethnicity reacts to
Uh-huh.
what, to figure out which vial they should
Global
go
trials,
with.
and all the major pharmaceutical companies got in on this, right?
Yeah.
They got to act as if they were these bastions of sort of mercy, that they were like doing everything they could in order to save everybody. But really, this is unprecedented to be able to say, hey, let's try this new technology that we've been working on for the last few years and just try it across the entire globe. And since everyone's doing it, some people are even being mandated to do it, then it's too big to fail. And in a way that like they can't sue us all, right? They can't take down every single pharmaceutical company, so therefore they can't take down any of them. I think that was kind of the way that they were looking at this. So, I mean, everyone just got to go through a trial, and luckily for most people, it was just a voluntary thing, high pressure, but it wasn't like line up or the police come. For some people, it was. I legitimately saw some videos of people that were getting like held down and forced to do things they didn't want to.
You know what's hilarious to me? The first nurse, I guess, ever to take it, she drops in front of
Tiffany
everybody.
Dover, right?
Yeah, there's a whole conspiracy around that nurse. But the fact that she collapsed
The
and people
comedian
still went.
too. There was a comedian that like collapsed on
You
stage
guys,
making
I
fun of people.
just deleted Heather McDonald collapsing off my phone. Like, but now I have to pull it up and we all have to watch it together because it's really one of the best.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't really think it's funny someone's getting hurt or that this happened. What I think is hilarious is hypocrisy that you can see like happen within just moments. Like you don't have to like read articles and pay attention to something for months. You can see hypocrisy in action within like 10 or 20 seconds on some
like
of
what
these.
an asshole.
At the
That's
same
what
time, I don't blame people. I mean, the whole fucking world shut down. Do you know what that?
Fuck them, fucking assholes.
Damn. Like, you know, I don't blame the uneducated because they call themselves educated, but they're not.
But I want you to know, double vaxxed, booster, flu shot, and I'm going to be honest, I have the shingle shot too. And I still get my period. What? Yes. Traveled, went to Mexico twice, did shows, meet and greets, never got COVID. Clearly, Jesus loves me the most. Seriously.
And he said,
so nice, so nice.
He said, nah, bitch. No, I don't.
People thought she was playing. And she said,
I'm so sorry for laughing, but
they're like, don't mess with her bit. It's part of the bit.
Jesus loves me the most.
Yeah, but I just want to watch her fall in slow motion. I wonder if I can make that happen for us. Oh, I probably can do it small. Let me zoom into the bottom. She hit her head so fucking hard.
That's what really.
I never
hurt
like
her.
when people hit their head hard.
Yeah, that's not.
I heard she got CTE from that.
Yeah, she probably is going to kill her family.
Just add one more acronym to all the medical stuff you've been collecting, lady.
Oh my gosh, I'm so evil. If you would have saw how hard I was laughing to myself.
I laughed. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. No, just now I was making her fall and fall and fall.
Oh my God. This is how the elite are. Like, they look at the world and they just laugh at this shit that they create.
No, if you were out there doing that shit, like you're part of the propaganda, and those people were like, I hope they can never travel again. How about we don't let them into the hospitals anymore? Like, put your mask on for no reason, people. It became like a political statement that I am not like, no, fuck them, fuck Hollywood. They all played along. I'm sorry I ever said the N-word, and imagine all the people, which really they just wanted to sing imagine there's no heaven, it's easy if you try. That was what they were up to, that it was so important them to say. And so Dr. Fauci's here to just tell you masks are for suckers. So if you played along with that, you're a dum-dum, like a bank lollipop. So I just get so irate that it was like literally the biggest gaslighting done for years. And if we didn't stand there maskless, they'd still be wearing them. It was only because we were like, look, we're standing on Mars and haven't turned into Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, like, it's only because that we did it that we proved it in real time. And really, all the people that got boosted, their study just ended this year. Some of it's not over yet. Some of them are still in study. So it's like, shut the fuck up. I can't, like, Heather McDonald got instant karma. But the sad part is that I wish fainting was the worst that was happening to people.
I know.
Like, people are dying.
Yeah.
Also, it's important to remember too that none of this is because someone like didn't wash their hands or they sneezed without covering their mouth at some point and spread. Like, it literally came out of a laboratory where scientists were creating things that should not exist in the natural world, and then they got out, because that's the only thing that can happen after they make something so crazy like that, is that it has to get out, right? So like, even if someone's not wearing a mask, and even if they found out that it was effective, which they aren't, but even if they did find out, none of that matters. What matters is stopping mad scientists from creating these Frankenstein sort of concoctions and then releasing them out into the world. That's because whoever's making one of those is having one of those dumb human moments where they're like, I know that every other time someone's ever done something like this, it's got out and it's basically spread across the world and created
12 monkeys of it all.
Yeah, exactly. Dr. Mary's monkey or whatever. But I'll be the one that doesn't let it get out. Let me just bang this pangolin real quick and then like spit on this bat, and then like I'll make sure that they don't get out anywhere. But they
You
always
know what
do.
was a major thing that was happening to people? Their eye. A lot of people had to have their eye removed, and it almost like reminds me of like Vril and the whole Black Eye Club. And I guess whatever Vril they were trying to give to people, what kind of fucking species or alien technology. A lot of
From
people
their eye
lost their
removed
eye
from what?
from the jab. A lot of people out of nowhere, their eyes were getting infected, and boom, like they had to get their eyes removed. I know 3 people in this neighborhood who had their eye removed after 2020. Just out of nowhere for no fucking reason. I'm just like, what? And it's the left eye, which is ironic.
Did
I'm
you
like, this
go up
is
to him and
weird.
you're like, gosh,
Ironic.
like, are
I
you a
asked
huge
them, "Yo, were you
TLC fan?
vaccinated?" "Yeah, I had to
You're
get,
like, what
Don't
about
go,
your
don't go chasing
friends?
But
waterfalls, bitch.
They're
even
gonna
then,
leave
I
the
mean, can we talk
town,
about
they'll
chemtrails
never
and the shit that
let
they're
you
dumping on us
down.
too, though? Because I think
Oh,
it's coming
yeah.
from all directions. It's not even, it's what's in our food too. It's like, it's not just the jab. It's like we're being poisoned everywhere.
Well,
Mhm.
one of the things that I was looking into on my adrenochrome research, because at one point I had to get so serious that I had to understand exactly at like the biochemical level exactly what was happening as it degrades. I mean, this is easy like entry level bio stuff if anyone like got into college level courses, but basically everything in your body gets broken down into these precursors, right? Every single thing that you ingest in any way that gets into your body, your body essentially breaks it down and separates into the tiniest portions that it can utilize and sends it to all the different places. And these are all essentially called precursors, and they break down to amino acids, and those things get built back up into your system to make whatever, fill in the blank, spit, semen, hair, phlegm, just like anything that it needs, new cells. It all comes from that. So there are literally people walking around that are made out of Taco Bell and Mountain Dew. Like that's the like the
Damn.
cells in their body.
You are
And
what
if
you eat.
they're having kids, right? Like there's a fetus that is actually being created from Taco Bell and Mountain Dew. Like in a literal sense, not in like a sort of metaphorical version of it, because the precursors that end up forming all of those different cells had to come from somewhere, and that somewhere ended up being Taco Bell for some
Well,
people.
that's how the lady turned blue, because too much of that fucking colloidal silver shit. And then eventually her body turned into fucking colloidal silver.
Some part of me feels like with the
Oh.
DNA too, and everything that they're messing with the messenger DNA is if you take a tiger and a lion and they have a liger, the reason it's bigger than the tiger and the lion is because it has to go back into both of their DNA all the way in history until the time that they bred. And so it becomes this more prehistoric, like saber tooth size version of those cats. And so it makes me think if they're mixing animal DNA with us, one, it makes it so I don't think stuff can jump from one creature to another unless I have DNA of that creature in me. But it also makes me wonder what they're trying to draw out, maybe like generationally in your kids. If are they trying to put some pig DNA, some monkey DNA, some to draw out something in this Liger way because they worshiped things that were like freaks. They worship like sideshow freaks and they want to kind of bring that back.
Well, you
Wow.
were I think I can't remember who was making the point about how you're born with all the eggs you'll ever have, except if you're a reptile. So, and I always wonder maybe that's part of this like reptilian DNA stuff, is that
Mm.
really it's about figuring out a way to have an endless supply of generating new eggs and not being stuck with whatever you got, radiation blasted or thalidomide sort of injected in the 50s or 60s. Now you can actually have like a new replenishable source, and that's what would make you a reptilian. That's one of the key traits of being reptilian, is having that particular ability.
Agrippa?
And
I
the
think
chickens.
what is that guy? Something
Potato,
Cornelius
potato.
Agrippa?
Yeah, Cornelius
That's from
Agrippa.
Yeah,
Kegels.
he talks about it in his book, and it says like if you want something like longevity in life or skin or whatever the fuck it is, long hair or strong hair, you go to that source like a turtle. You want longer life, turtles live for a long time. You somehow extract their DNA and create a potion for you to ingest so you can live that longer life. So having that idea of taking things that are already there that have the thing that you need, you extract it from that thing and
Well,
create the thing.
it's the idea of
Whose
the Wendigo,
grandma
really.
was
It's
like,
like whatever you ingest, the animal you ingest, you inherit their qualities, or like humans.
well, I
So
mean, it's
weird.
supposed to be true. Whose grandma was like 106 that popped up earlier? You know that these 106-year-olds ate turtle soup at some point in their youth, right? That was like a thing.
Probably.
For sure.
Probably.
And like they probably smoked since they were 12. But I
Yeah.
almost feel like there was a reason they all started tobacco and then the history changed and lied about it.
Yep.
This is what I'm starting to think about everything because you look into all the countries that are way healthier than us and they all smoke cigarettes.
Yep.
So I just feel like we get this propaganda like I would say more people are smoking less than ever before in America, and there's more cancer than ever before in America.
I agree. People are now
What could
buying
really cause lung
patches.
cancer? Then what is the deal with all the people that get lung cancer that have never smoked?
Non-smokers, healthy ass people are buying nicotine patches, cutting them up in 3 milligram slices and wearing them under their arm. And they are feeling so amazing about themselves. Like they are saying this is the best thing that they ever fucking done. Why was this hidden from us? And like complaining at the fact that like, why are they lying to us about nicotine? Why? Like
I
it's
saw this
spiritual.
really awesome article recently where somebody like basically hacked their brain to want to run, where they like always hated running, but they wanted to just figure out if they could get good at running despite hating it. And what they did is they would put nicotine patches on every morning before they went out running, and after like a few months, just them going running and not putting the nicotine patch on had already conditioned the brain to like enter this new elevated and calm state. And it like now all of a sudden their body made them want to run because there was like a reward, there was like a treat that it got at the end of it. And this is just like the dipping your toe into what nicotine could actually be able to do for somebody. But it's I don't think the micro I guess that's kind of what smoking cigarettes throughout the day, like a 2 packs a day, you're just kind of micro dosing it in like a completely different way though, right?
I'm sure I said tobacco. You can rewind and check, but I'm sure I said tobacco and not cigarettes.
Yeah.
I was talking to the chat. But no, I totally think there is something with the nicotine patch. Like I think it does do something with your brain and make it flow in like a crazy way. And I got addicted. Like the only time in my life I ever dreamed regularly, I would put the nicotine patch on right before bed. And I felt like I lucid dreamed like I was a regular at it. Like I'm like, oh, and here I am inside this dream. It was wild. And I never am that person.
Yeah,
So,
nicotine patches will give you awesome dreams.
I
Is it
also
This is making me want to just go get nicotine patches.
receptors?
Let's do it.
I know. I feel like
Next
we
time
should
we
all
hang
do
out.
it. Nicotine patches.
Let's do it. I'm down.
Yeah.
I'll do
All
an
right.
experiment.
It'll be
I'm gonna
fun.
do it. I want to do it.
Abbie, I dreamed last night and I remembered it. I'm so glad this came up right now because I thought of like, oh, I dreamed last time on the nicotine patches and I wanted to remember right after my dream because the first thing I thought is I flew in my dream and I have to tell
Yay!
Abbie.
Oh my gosh, how'd you fly?
I was just like a natural flight. Like I just jumped and flew. Like I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to run into it. I didn't have to, but I will say I don't recall taking off from the ground. I recall like it was on top of buildings, so there wasn't a bunch of structure and stuff, but I was just like a great flyer. Like I couldn't believe it. Like I just zipped around. I didn't have to propel myself. It was just like my thoughts made me just
It feels amazing
do
too,
things.
doesn't it?
it was like I remembered it in a way that I was excited when I woke up, and that I was like, I have to tell Abbie I flew in my dreams, and it wasn't like a scary thing. And I always wondered how I would fly in my dreams, and there was literally no, like, people have had wings, or they're like I run into it, or I flap my arms. I did none of that.
Was it lucid too, I assume?
I feel like part of it might have been because there is a part where I landed like, um, like a little, like I landed on the side of like a triangular top of a roof, like glass, and I felt like I felt it under my palm, like the wet dew of the glass, like my shoe and the way I landed, like kneeled, like, and I land here and I just jump like, oh, this is so, it was like flight mixed with incredible leaping because some things were so close that I could just, and I felt like part of it was like I was so in this dream. I don't know. It was really wild. It doesn't happen to me often, but nothing else happened except I was just so in flight and just totally present.
My favorite is when you're flying and then you like somehow wake up and then you feel like, I guess, your soul kind of slam back into your body and you just kind of like have that weird sensation of like jolting.
That chord, right? It's the chord where like your soul hovers about, I forgot what the exact distance was, but it's like 18 inches or something, or 3 feet above your body.
Yeah, and it feels like you literally get slammed back into like, or you fall back into your body kind of feeling, like you lose balance and you try to catch yourself in a sense. It's weird.
That's why I really think that the sleep paralysis demon is yourself. It's just yourself that like it's your
I think
energy
so.
body that's not perfectly developed yet. That's why it looks so freaky, because if you haven't done a lot of your shadow work, then it's going to be kind of great. Your energetic body is going to be scary.
Yeah. After a while, it just starts to look like a pretty iridescent, see-through thing. For me, at least.
Yeah, it's supposed to.
This might sound really weird, but in the early like right after I got out of the military, I had a really bad drug addiction. Like it got horrible. And my drug of choice was coke. And there was this really weird feeling that after, binges, after days of binging, I'd get this very specific feeling I've never felt on any other substance ever. And it almost felt like I was this tiny little creature inside of like a huge outer body. And I've tried to find, there's got to be a name for it. There's probably some scientist somewhere that knows like this one phenomenon, but it was such a specific feeling because it would always hit after a certain amount of like being just up in the sky for days and days on end. And all of a sudden it was like this rubber band bouncing back where I was like this tiny little, entity that was like somehow controlling this huge sort of like exoskeleton. And it felt like that too.
Okay, because when I was younger, I would get migraines, but they weren't headaches. I would just have like the auras, and I would like be really light sensitive. I'd have to go sit in my dark room, but then I'd feel like I tried to explain it to people when I was younger. They're like, "This is so weird. I don't know what you're talking about, Abbie." I was like, "I feel like a flat thing." I was like, "I feel like an amoeba inside my body." Like it was so hard to explain it to people. I was like I'm this other thing inside this thing, and
but it's weird because it wasn't mental, it was physical. Like I
I
literally
could feel
felt
it.
that way from
Yes.
the inside out. It wasn't like,
No.
oh, I'm trying to interpret this weird experience. It was like, I know what I'm feeling right now.
Yeah. I was just like, it was this weird amoeba feeling. They're like, "What are you talking
Right.
about?"
It's hard to
Like, I
describe.
don't know. I can't explain it unless you felt it, but
And you almost get scared to tell adults because when these I don't know if they're my weird one, like I don't have anything like you guys have, but my weird one and I only talked to one other person in my whole life that had it too. And she's like, "Oh, I call that my mental blasts. Like that's my brain when it's blasting." And I'm like, "It still happens to you?" And she goes, "Not as much, but like definitely off coming down off certain drugs." And I was like, "Mine was in high school when I was like studying for exams and stuff. It would happen to me more, but it was almost like I broke my brain that every single involuntary movement that my body did, breathing, blinking, whatever, it gave me a script of it in my head." And so I wasn't just talking and that going on. It was like all the words that I was about to say. I saw that script with the blinking and the breathing and my left finger moves and my elbow and my and now you walk left foot, right foot. But I can't even explain how it just gave every single part of, and it would happen occasionally where I thought, I'm losing my fucking mind. If I wake up tomorrow like this, I have to tell somebody, but what do I even tell them? Like I'm having a script in my brain, like some filter is thin. That's not supposed to be thin like that.
Like the hosts of it all, like the Westworld of it all, because that's what it feels like. I don't know. Have you guys seen those robots that they put out that have like every human bone, just like the human body and everything? And I'm like, we're Westworld.
Yeah, they're starting to build them with like microfiber
Yes.
sort of muscles, and they've got like they can move around like normal people and stuff. Yeah, it's wild. Chaney, you were also talking about that, like turning that switch off. I can there's a way that you can, like, even sober people I think can do it, and it's like the most annoying thing to snap yourself out of. But when you start consciously thinking, okay, breathe in, okay, now breathe out, now breathe,
I hate
and
it.
then you can't like undo it. So now all of a sudden you feel like if you're not consciously doing it, you'll just stop breathing, and then you actually make it stop doing it.
It's that exact on
Hate that.
every other thing too, but that exact amount of like except it's not, there's no like, I'm so high right now. Am I still breathing? There isn't a guess of it. It's just like, and your heart beat, lungs, inhale, exhale. It was almost like I was getting a script of how it was.
You got the full code.
It only lasted like 24 hours, then I got a good night's sleep. But I feel like now looking at it, it was when I was first pushing myself into those insomnia like realms of like making my brain work, and that, like I'm gonna research all night.
It only lasted 24 hours. Like that's a long time.
It was.
That's a good point. It might be like after like days of not sleeping normal, because this is one of the things that really has shocked me the most of all the MK Ultra research that I've done. There was this quote from Dr. Jolly West, Lewis Jollyton West, and he's the one. I mean, he was the one that helped dose this huge elephant with LSD and killed it, and he gave it like all these different drugs and barbiturate and stuff. Like, this guy was no stranger to every possible way of doing mind control, and he said the most effective version of mind control is just simple sleep deprivation. That after about 3 days of not allowing someone to sleep on their own schedule and like making sure that they wake up and not letting them get any sleep, after 3 days you could do anything that you wanted. You could implant memories, you can induce amnesia, you can do anything. So maybe like that feeling, that amoeba feeling, which I'll call it from now on until there's a better version, but like that amoeba feeling, it could almost be like a precursor state or like an indicator that, okay, you're ready to like enter this new programming mode. It's like turning your phone into Bluetooth pairing mode or something.
Weird.
Dude, that's so weird. How are we not AI? Like, that sounds like a machine.
Like we're hosts.
Well, what about this? Okay, like in a simulation way or not, in a magical way, whether we see the future or whether we create the future, two in my name, even that statement of like two in my name it shall be, that becomes more powerful than 1 + 1. So all of us here, and we watch and we do things, and sometimes you might inadvertently be involved and sometimes you're directly involved. But I just feel like I wanted to go through some of the magic that happens on this show that's been in the news this week, and that this I thought was pretty awesome. And I want to thank our audience for all putting intentions in, because we're going to kill the Pope together. And so Pope Francis isn't out of danger yet, but his condition isn't life-threatening, medical teams say.
I just imagine like a sniper team that are all like got red dots on them right now. Like, the sickness won't kill you, bud.
Nope, it's some podcast intentions that are all laughing because when the Pope dies, they're going to laugh and laugh. But that wasn't the one that I think is like extra magic. That is small potatoes compared to this one. You guys. Sex experts issue warning to Brits over vorophilia fetish that's on the rise in the UK. So
Crazy.
it's becoming a whole thing with adults that we know from Abbie's research that started with kids looking up this thing, but it's adults now with the fetish of this thing.
Maybe this is just them trying to make the kids stop doing it, because once the old people like it, then it stops being cool.
Hopefully.
True.
They're like, your parents are into it.
But I don't know. It's all
like,
little weirdos who are into it. You know?
What's the warning though? The warning's like, caution: do not actually attempt to put an
Swallow
entire
somebody
human
whole?
being into your mouth and stomach.
Wasn't there some news also about some kind of weird robot AI literally so close to a human type of AI machine that they made? It was all white, and the way it moved was very human-like.
Yeah, this is the microfiber one.
Dude,
that had all the
getting closer and
everything that a
closer.
human has.
They already have it. It's already there. It's real. They already have the prototype of like real looking human robots for sure.
Yeah, I really
For
believe
sure.
Bianca is a robot. I
I'm
think
telling you.
I am not kidding when I'm telling you I think Kanye's walking around with a robot.
It is.
When people have no social media like past, that is fishier to me than if I find 3 versions of them.
I'm telling you, they hide all the technology, especially like this whole drone shit was the technology of like free energy technology, and they don't want people to know about it. So they'll say, "Oh, are they aliens? Oh no, they're just regular fucking no, they were silent fucking drones. They didn't make any noise. They were magnetically moving somehow without any kind of energy. It's like some kind of magnetic propulsion or something like that, electromagnetic propulsion. Yeah, same thing with these fucking robots. They have them. Slowly gonna bring them out, little by little.
And I feel like we're gonna get ripped off too. At no point in between now and the electromagnetic drones, we're never gonna get the Back to the Future magnet board. Like, that's never happened. We're never getting the hoverboard that Michael J. Fox had. They're just gonna go right to the drones, and the drones are gonna get it.
Or they're gonna go straight to flying cars because they already had. Wasn't there an article about flying cars being a thing now, and highways are not going to be a thing? Like the whole major industries are not going to be a thing because it's going to go towards a free energy type of realm or something like that. I hope, but at the same time, it seems
Well,
like
aren't they building the monorail, the Disney of it all.
I don't know. It seems like I don't know. I don't know. It's just crazy.
I feel like the one that got it the closest was Minority Report. Even the movie did a really good job on it, where it wasn't flying cars, but it's more like track cars, where all cars are just on this track run by magnets, and you just get into one, and then it zips you somewhere, and it only goes in one direction, and you just get into the ones that go in the right spot, but you're not even driving. No one drives cars at all anymore.
Ugh,
which is
I
a
don't like
horrible reason, because of course in Minority Report they can just control whether or not you make it to your destination or not. But that feels like the next real evolution or de-evolution in the way that we even get transported around. It's like you're no longer gonna be able to decide just out of nowhere, like, you know what, I'm gonna take a different path today, or I'm just gonna take a left right here. You're gonna be like basically pre-planning exactly where your transport's going to go so that it can be scheduled with the big brain and everything.
Like Westworld season 3.
Honestly, that sounds more accurate, but I mean, flying cars would sound amazing to me. Like,
I don't know. Like, I don't even think people can handle themselves in just one different plane, and now you're gonna have like multiple planes. And that means if someone screws up above you and they crash into someone, then they're gonna fall down and crash into you too. Like, it just, I can't see a way that this goes right.
maybe like the technology that they have, it all works cohesively where it won't allow cars to collide. You know, like if they have that electrical magnetic technology, it can stop things like, you know, super quickly instead of like on a break.
I'm just thinking
Right?
like in terms of all the airplane crashes we've had lately, where they're crashing into each other, or helicopters crashing into
I don't know. I
airplanes.
feel
They're
like,
just
yeah, I
Like
feel
in,
like
like in
something's ever
theory,
happened and
that could
changed.
work. Someone could make that system, but the person making that system is going to be a human doing dumb human stuff.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be someone that forgot to put the decimal in the right spot, like forever and ever. That'll probably be our true legacy, is that like we destroy ourselves because someone forgot to put the decimal in the right spot.
Fucking A.
By the
What
way,
if-
that movie Uglies or Ugly or whatever on Netflix, they had hoverboards too.
Really?
Ugly?
Yeah, it was. I watched it just because it was like on there, and I was looking for something to watch. It was not as good.
Oh, I
as
think I
Ugly.
tried watching that one. It was
really
made for a
crazy.
completely different generation.
It
Don't-
really is.
Don't they have those shoes called moonwalkers? You put them on and supposedly like you walk super fast in them. Like they make you glide. I think they're called moonwalkers.
I know you're not talking about moon shoes because those things didn't glide anywhere.
No, these are moonwalkers. And they're like you walk and it's like you glide in them. It's almost like skating kind of, but not. Like it's run by a machine and they're kind of noisy too, but apparently you walk fast. You're just walking, but it rolls for you as you're walking. It's weird. But yeah, it's a thing.
Oh yeah, they look like roller skates.
Mm-hmm. You just Velcro them on your feet and they're these big bulky things. I'm like, I don't know about that. That just seems like a fucking hassle.
Yeah, just get them Heelys.
I'll pull them up now.
I've never heard of this before. This is wild. Well, like, yeah, now all of a sudden people are going to be going like 20 miles an hour in the grocery store because they got their moonwalkers on.
Dude, people are getting lazy. Not good.
Remember Heelys? This just looks like an adult version of Heelys.
I love
That's what I
these
just said. I was
things.
like, I would just get Heelys.
This looks like was just shoes in
Yeah,
like the
the ugly
70s and
dad
80s that
shoes.
have wheels that came out of the
The
bottom.
ugly dad Velcro shoes that all the dads had.
Oh my gosh, they
Tevas.
do look like Tevas
Yeah.
with wheels.
Like that.
That is so funny. Look at this one.
Oh my God, you actually charge them with a USB cord.
Yeah. And they have videos. Like I saw it, when was it? 2 days ago? Like, oh, moon shoes. I'm like, or moonwalkers. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm watching it. I'm like, they look cool, but I don't think you could walk normally in them. They're kind of bulky.
They look so wild. There's got to be cooler looking ones.
I think there's their first prototype, I think.
They're only $1,300 too.
Look at, or you could just get some of these.
I've never seen anyone go fast on those without like busting their ass at some point too.
I don't know. They have some pretty nice demos. I was like, wow.
No, not the Moonwalker. I mean Heelys.
Oh yeah, Heelys. I was terrified of them.
This is the real. What about these, Layla? Would you rock these?
No. I'll just get myself a pair of actual fucking
pair of
rollerblades.
Bratz ones like that where the roller skates popped out.
Whatever happened to rollerblades? I feel like they weren't ever comfortable for anyone, and everyone just finally admitted it. Everyone finally admitted that they kind of like are uncomfortable to wear, and then everyone just stopped wearing rollerblades collectively.
I loved rollerblades.
They were huge. You couldn't not have rollerblades in the 90s. And then the early 2000s came around and it was just like they were gone.
That's true.
Somebody gayed up. Like somebody made him like the first thing that you could call somebody a faggot. And like, can you think of something pre-rollerblade that you thought in your little kid brain? That is so gay.
70s shorts, like
jorts.
The fucking
like silky little shorts.
like the basketball players with the long socks and like little shorty shorts, or the freaking men wearing like cut off like Daisy Dukes. That was pretty gay.
I don't know. It's kind of redneck too.
It is, but I mean, gosh, when their butts hanging out too, it's just it's too short.
That's too short.
Men in the 70s wore their shorts too short.
Too short in general. Yeah, they did. And I picture them with those short shorts
They were
and
very
rollerblades.
feminine
You're on notice.
in the 80s, weren't they?
Well, they were on notice, and Dr. Fauci took care of it. That
He
really
did.
is. If you were probably in the 70s rollerblading with little
He
short
probably
shorts
got it.
on.
The actual AIDS.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And something has to happen where they're transferring, like Layla's, like, that you could just be next to a vax person and catch it, like with what
Freshly
she was
vaxxed, I
talking
think,
about,
right?
because
Like viral shedding.
yeah, or whatever, like a shedding idea. This must be something though that it's like that whatever that thing is contagious, but you're not contagious. Like your sickness isn't contagious to me. That part just seems crazy.
It all seemed
I don't know.
crazy.
Well,
And
that's
then it
the
happened.
genius part. I think the shedding is the part that they wanted to test to see how much that would work. Because again, you can probably tell the difference between a marker of someone that got the OG and someone that got the sort of stowaway, right? The one that like shed and jumped off. If you can follow that tracker, then you've got a whole extra set of data that you can sort of analyze down the line.
So what happened with the whole purple light changing theory that everybody was like, oh my God, they changed the lights. They changed the lights. I was one of them and I still am. Anytime I see a purple fucking lamp, I just put my finger at it because that's the most I could do. But yeah, what happened to that whole fucking theory? It just went shh. Let's not talk about it anymore. But that has something really, really significant to tie with COVID. I truly believe. Don't know what, don't know how.
No, I think there's definitely something with the light bulbs and COVID
And the
because Obama
Yeah.
forced us. Like, why did the government come out all of a sudden and they were like, we're going to sign this bill and make you guys all get these spiral light bulbs in your house? These light bulbs will last forever, and they all cost $1 million instead of the old Edison bulbs. And then immediately Trump's first, or like one of his first executive orders, the first time he was in office, was changing those bulbs that we didn't have to have them. And so I always theorized people with those bulbs in their house got sick from COVID more.
Yeah.
Like, I think there was something to it. I think when people talk about Project 201 or Agenda 2021 or whatever the names of all the Plan 2025, I feel like it's a whole bunch of chess moves. So it's not just the chemtrails, it's not just the poison in your food, it's not just the vaccine your grandma, it's not just I think it's things like the light bulbs and the plastic in your clothes and by your coochie and the bleach on your tampons, and you're putting poison in your conditioner, and you're not letting the babies breastfeed. And I think it's like a level, like so many different levels of things. And the genius part of it is we all are so different, like Layla was saying, that they can't even be like, okay, here, every Middle Eastern person will get sick from this. Nope, that's Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome, which is different than Saudi Arabian respiratory syndrome. That's SARS versus MERS. And so it's like, even that part, I feel like they want to test us to try to like hone in on what can make us sick. Because if we're all taking rat poison every day, all of our symptoms are going to be so different. And so they can slowly poison all of us, and Chaney might get cancer, and Thomas might get a weird rash, and Abbie might be fine and just feel mentally fucked up, some brain fog sometimes, and Layla might never be able to have
I don't
kids.
like the idea of them saying, oh, we live longer now than they did before, because they had natural medicine, and now here we have more advanced medicine, which is not true. It's petrol, but people are like not living as long as they should. They're like,
They're
it's
not.
not
They're
making.
saying our kids' generation won't live as long as us.
Yeah, and it's because of all these chemicals that we're using. So I do feel people were living longer, and they're lying to us about it. Like Chaney said, I mean, the seeds now are fucking pesticides.
Well, and
Like
there's suicide
they
seeds.
change the seeds, and then they spray the fruit with the pesticide, and then we eat it, and then
Well, it's kind
pasta
of
through
weird.
Teflon cutters.
Just going back to
Like,
what Thomas was saying earlier about like changing it to where like generations will be infertile. But that's what they're doing to the plants already. They're like Monsanto has created, like they patented the seeds for soy and other crops where they're suicide seeds, so they can't not even reproduce from the seed that the soy will produce. So it's like they're already doing it to plants.
Although life finds a way, to quote Dr. Malcolm, whatever his name was, right, in Jurassic Park, because that's where the Monsanto lawsuits usually come from. It's that sometimes these
Yeah.
plants are able to create themselves. It's almost like autoflower seeds, where
They
sometimes
breed
they
with
will
somebody's
continue
natural
to
crop.
propagate, even if they were designed not to do that at all. And this actually also reminds me too. This is a wild tangent rant, but I think it's one of the biggest psyops in all of our growing up and just like recent history is this concept of like the lifespans, and that the mortality rate, or like the death rate and the expected lifespan. For example, you would hear like, oh, 100 years ago people didn't live that long, or when it was thousands of years ago people only lived until they were 30 or until they were 40. If you made it to your 40, you were an old man, and that's why everyone had to get things done early. But that's not true at all. That it wasn't that people just were dying younger. It was that they had these massive world wars. So you get a whole bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds dying in war, and then they just add all those numbers up and then divide it equally as if everyone had a natural like lifespan, and then they come out on the other end and be like, oh, in this certain time period people only lived until they were about 40 or 50. It had nothing to do with that. They were probably living until they were into their hundreds. It
Yeah.
was just that they kept killing all of the kids, or like the infant mortality rate was high, and like one person dying at 0 would make an 100-year-old dying look like they died at 50 if you just played the math out like that. But that's how that math usually gets portrayed, and it's used almost as a lie to make us think that
Yeah.
we're living longer when in fact we're living way less.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up though, because I've just been watching that show, This Is Us, and in it, the dad is like a Vietnam vet, and it kind of goes into the whole draft of it all. And I didn't realize how they did the draft. My father was drafted. He was like Vietnam vet, but um, but they did it. They did, the little numbered balls, like the what's it called? Like bingo. But there was 300,
Lottery.
366, one for every day of the year, and they did it by birthday. So they draw a number, and then it was a birthday. So like
Happy
that to
birthday.
me was like, that is so fucking crazy, because that's almost like, let's take every October 18th baby. We're gonna take these Libras, we're gonna take these whatever, and then they're gonna go in and fight and die. Like everyone from that day, that's freaking
You
crazy.
think they had like an
And
astrologer
then
that was making sure they picked the right days?
Well, they said that
yes, and
at
then
one
we were
point they
also
thought that it was rigged because it was like a whole cluster of people from a certain time period. So that
and even this idea of like kings or politicians or whoever the powers that be could play out these ancient Grecian, Roman, weird play table wars by being like, let's put a whole bunch of
Mhm.
scorpions against a whole bunch of archers. And they could still use these gods and pay homage to them by doing it in a way like I can still sacrifice all the babies to whatever deity on these days. I'll just do it by this way. And then there's a good opportunity because they're all so young that you're also sacrificing
Yeah.
virgins.
And you know what? That's what I've gotta say. It's like probably none of us here believe in freaking going to war over anything pretty much. But the
Except
fact that
Canada.
they were
All
sending off
fucking go to war on
children.
Canada.
I mean, 18, 19, 20,
Children.
like those are freaking still children. That you're not grown up then. Doesn't matter that they say that you're an adult. You're definitely not an adult. You're freaking have no life experience, and we're sending them off to die for what?
But they're harder to brainwash the
Yeah,
older you get.
I know.
I think it
That's why I
becomes
feel like it's
like
all conspiracy. Like
yeah,
it
like
was
run
all
up this
done on
hill.
purpose for a certain purpose.
Yeah, and it's more where people are like, "We're in a spiritual war. We're in a spiritual war. We always have
Always.
been." Like, all of it. I just don't believe in this idea of, because they can't grow poppy wherever. Like, it's proof over and over again that there's oil fields pretty much
Or
everywhere. So it's I don't know. It just seems
Even
like
what if there was prophecies or
for
boys born a certain leader will be born on this day in this area, so let's kill them all.
That's what if let's say there were
Yeah.
prophecies. Let's say there actually were in this way, like this ancient idea of whatever that was that you were born with a story and like something to play out and you got all of that story at the beginning. Like there's nothing you and even if it was vague in the Notre Dame's way, like you will fly at noon like a sparrow on the fourth quarter. Like you don't know what it means until it means what it's supposed to mean. But what if your prophecy's been stolen or they're trying like they know all of the prophecies and they're trying to find this person could actually shake up our role of the Nephilim or fallen that we've been playing. So let's find all these prophecies
Like
before they
early
get here.
edition.
Like in this yeah, like if people are like, "Oh, would you go back in time and kill baby Hitler?" That kind of idea. But if they time travel or dream hack or, do these kind of things, then they kind of know what we're going to be. So if it's in this way of black versus white, good versus evil, or then they want the opposite of that. If you're going to be they're like, what if we could go back in time and kill Jesus as a baby? Then we have to be like, we better send 3 thugs to guard that bitch. Like it becomes time travel
It
wars.
becomes the Terminator.
But in the way of like everything, if we were saying all of this before, if they had their ruthers, would they have put us at the stake? And so then you wonder, what are the witch burnings over and over again? What are this? Is it just the people that they're like, no, we're not going to believe how you say?
Yeah.
And they're like, that person's a witch.
I saw her do
Heresy.
this. Yep.
Heretic.
Well, they
Yeah.
talk about the tree of knowledge, the tree of knowledge, the tree of knowledge. What if it's just the tree of life and the elixir that comes from the tree of life? And that's where everything is born from. And it's the center of the earth and the whole getting into that idea. What if these witches knew that that thing existed and they would talk about it? What if that's something that's always been hidden from us? They don't want us going there. They say, oh, look at Antarctica, look what we found here. But we should be paying attention to what the mythology of the tree of life is. And I believe it does exist. And I believe that place is somewhere. And my thinking, it's probably somewhere up north in the middle. And I think that's what this is all about.
Like a
these
literal tree? Like a
longevity.
physical tree?
I don't know if it's a physical, maybe a physical tree. I don't know.
I'm sure.
Tree of
'Cause
life. They
the
talk
way it
about
shows it
it,
growing up out of the
but
North
they don't
Pole, and
want us
that's the
talking about
magnetic
it.
center of
I feel like
the
at this
tree.
point, McDonald's would have mowed that down and put like a cow field on top of
I
it.
don't know. I don't know.
It's the number one reason I don't believe we've been on the moon
Yeah.
is because I've never seen golden
Exactly.
arches on it.
I was
Like, I
thinking the
just
same
feel like
thing.
there'd be a projector or something that would be like putting some like Super
Right.
Bowl 2028
Just
or some
like
shit.
Austin Powers, because isn't that what Dr. Evil wanted to do? Like put something on the moon?
Yeah, like mask up.
Put a big mask on the moon. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if they're gonna light up the White House in rainbow colors, why wouldn't they do that to the moon?
The moon's gay this month, guys.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like it would be hard to project something on the moon either.
True.
Like it just doesn't seem like they're like, hey, Chaney, you're not allowed to mess with a red laser pointer because you'll knock a plane out of the sky. I'm like, the military doesn't have something they can just beam something up on the moon. And like everybody always says those mirrors that you can point at and hit. Well, I mean, it's just if it's a flat surface, then I should be able to project something onto it. No, even if it's not from Earth's surface, from the
Yeah.
space station.
Isn't that the reason why they stopped producing the Nikon P1000 or something type camera, because it's super zoomed into the moon like fucking crazy? Like
Layla, remember when you had that weird phone for that year that zoomed all the way
Yeah, I
into
still
the
have it.
moon? That
Yeah.
shit was crazy. I don't know if
But
it still
it's
does
Or is
not
that, if
that
it's
it's
not
still
a
capable of
real
that.
the one that
rendition of
projects the
what
moon over
you're
it?
yeah, they put I guess, some kind of computer program in the camera. So when you're zooming into it, it's not the actual image of what you're actually seeing. It's a
Like any
rendition
white
of what
round
they
circle would make it look like the moon surface.
Yeah, that's they're fucking with us so hard with the moon. It's not even funny.
Dude, this goes with the digital
Yeah.
gaslighting theory where it all started because I just think they fuck with me. And I use the example that one time I sent a smoke show lady friend of mine, and she was just like feeling good about herself, and she didn't always feel good about herself, and she was in the moment. And I just wrote back, "Girl, you are a baddie," and it changed it
Yeah.
to fatty.
Yeah.
I just I every time I think about it, I just wanna bury myself, like, and it's like somebody who it's fine, but in the moment, it's fine, but it's still even that I have to say that it's fine, like, it's still, like, a thing, so I just feel like digital gaslighting, and then, one time I was on Rogueways, and I was listening to an episode of Rogueways, we ended up talking about it later on, but she was like maybe she videoed me or something, and she's like, "This isn't really what I look like." Like, something about there's only a couple of cameras that I'm like, "That's the real me," and then my phone camera, it does something to my forehead or widens my nose a little. She's like, "It gaslights me to make me feel ugly."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Huh, is this going on that we're getting like, our phones are becoming their own magic mirrors, their own magic mercury mirrors of our own selfie, like, they're like, 'Shatter all those mirrors, you don't need them anymore.
You
This
know,
is the one.'"
'cause I've been practicing my posing every single day and I video it so I can rewatch it and see what I need to fix, but it keeps elongating my head, and I'm like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Like, I've never had an issue, like, filming posing videos, and
Are
all of
you
a sudden,
using the
like,
front
every video in my
camera
head
or
looks
the
like
back
super long.
camera?
It's the front camera.
You try the back camera.
It's just
'Cause
not
they
the
say the
back
front
camera's just
camera
not as good,
distorts,
but
how you actually look, and it won't
okay.
give you the accurate you, but the back camera with the high def, it'll give you the the actual you.
Well, wait, I'm using this one, this.
The back
The good
camera?
camera.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I've
This is
never
all
had an
part of
issue.
the
I've done this for
transhumanist
years.
agenda. It's they want humans to look less human so that all the fake humans and all the androids will look realistic because we're so used to looking at each other through filters that they look like all whacked out versions that now this imperfect thing will look closer to the right way because you'll be seeing it without the extra filters added to it.
Mhm.
It's like breaking our eyes and even of ourselves. So if we're our own like X point of what everything else looks like, then that's a really strange like it's my front camera, like when Layla was just saying it, this camera on my phone, if I'm talking to somebody on it on video, I feel like it's does something so long to my chin that I'm like, "This is
I
not
hate
me right
FaceTiming.
now."
I'm
Like,
like, I am
I'm
ugly on
chinny.
FaceTime. I don't get it.
It's not right. I feel like this is a closer version of what I look like in real
Yeah.
life. This is but if you FaceTime me, I don't know
Yeah.
who
I
that
look
new
at
Same.
dude
myself
is.
in the mirror, I'm like, "Oh, well, cute," and I
When
look
people
at
wanna
the
FaceTime,
front
I'm like,
camera,
"Oh,
I'm like, "What the
please don't do
fuck
that
is
to me
going
right
on?"
now." Then I'm gonna be thinking about how shitty I look the whole time.
I'm like, "Can't we
Yeah.
just phone chat?"
Please.
I'm like then I'm just looking at
Yeah.
myself and I shouldn't. I'm just so tiny in the corner, but I'm like, "This is not my real face. Why is it doing this to
I
me
hate it.
right now?" Like, yeah, why is it it's like how you just blew my mind saying that the moon, "Oh, you're pointing at something bright in the thing. Let's put this texture on it and make it look
Yeah.
more moon."
Yeah. I think it was Samsung's.
Yeah, they did
Samsung
that.
did it.
It could because now I mean, anyone that's had a smartphone in the last 10 or even like 20 years now, you can like point it at the sky and it'll tell you exactly what constellation you're looking at and everything because it's got a gyroscope and it's got an accelerometer based in it. So it knows exactly where you're pointing it. Literally, if you're just pointing out in the sky, it'll know what star is the closest thing you're pointing it towards. So it's child's play to be able to tell if you're pointing it at the moon, and just by knowing, oh, they're pointing at the moon right now, let's serve them up some dope moon pictures to make them think that they're taking these great pictures. And a lot of people kind of fell for that.
Yeah, I fell
Okay.
for it.
even on the same
I did it.
along the same line,
I
like
was like, "Layla, you need to sell those."
we had like a lot of snow here, which is not exactly
I
normal.
brought it up again
But the
just now.
temperature during the day was like 14 degrees or 15 degrees yesterday, and I swear to God, it was not 15 degrees outside. It was not that cold, and I mean, I'm a cold person. I hate being fucking cold. I've had days when I've gone to work and I've like been freezing my ass off, and it's probably only like 40. So I'm like, I don't get it. I feel like the temperatures right now are fake too.
We're being punked
I
left and
swear to
right.
God.
I think that sometimes too. Like I'm like, what is cold at what point where they're like, today is -60? I'm like, they could tell me that when it's 22 because that's how
Mhm.
I feel. Like, so if I'm like, oh my gosh, it was -60 wind chill here today. Like, I don't even think like there would be a frozen
I was
moose,
wearing
Chaney.
shorts
Like
outside. I was fine. I would never be fine if it was that cold, really. I know for a fact because it's been warmer and I've been freezing my ass off.
This is the great stealing time theory where people are like the disappearing internet theory. Yep, that's true too. But I think they are stealing half seconds from us
Yes.
all the time and we would never know it. And if they just rolling blackout us, like brownouts throughout wherever, everything blinks, all your clocks blink. And then what do? You pick up your phone or you pick up something attached to your computer clock and it automatically sets itself and you set everything to that. And so I feel like
Does
it
that
wouldn't be
happen
hard.
there a lot? Do you guys have, like, the brownouts where you come home and everything's blinking? Because that happens here all the time.
I wouldn't say brownouts. At least in Florida, it's usually something specific because there's so much of the infrastructure is above ground still. So depending on how new or old your area is, just a strong windstorm will knock some stuff out. But usually brownouts are from the energy company or the grid, like something failing within the grid, like an overload or something. So I think it's different. Like Florida in this way is so used to getting knocked down. It reminds me of like Japanese temples where they'll just knock a temple down after 80 years just to rebuild it so that they never go into this like dilapidated state. In Florida, they're so used to stuff blowing up and transformers exploding that they got it down to a science on like how to quickly get up there and like replenish it. So we have like the same things, but brownouts I think usually imply like rolling stats.
Like Enron shit.
Yeah. Poor grandma.
Enron shit. It is kind of funny that like the dude, like some random dude bought the Enron name, like the Enron trademark, and then is like running around doing all these like even I think he pumped a fake coin too, but even doing all these like fake like, hey, here's an egg with Enron on it, but it has nothing to do with the original company Enron. It's just some guy owns the name Enron now.
Well, did you guys hear about the new chip that Microsoft made called Majorana 1? And this chip is like a motherfucking supercomputer that can fit, I don't know, terabytes and insane. And they just come out because they had other companies or Microsoft and other companies trying to create this technology by using a type of energy that is a new energy that they found apparently for quantum computing. There you go. There you go. So apparently they found the type of energy that they can create this type of chip with, and they just put it out and they're like, hey guys, here's the chip.
Adrenochrome.
Like we created it into like, so do you want to print out, do you guys want to show us how you did it and the whole, I don't know the terminology for it, but there's like a whole system of like how you the poetry to it, the breakdown, the science. And they asked Microsoft, are you going to produce that? They're like, no, we're not. Here you go. This is the chip. What else you guys want to know? And that's it, like nonchalantly. And they've been doing like 20 plus years of research to try and create this technology. And they just, hey, yeah, we brought it up. No big deal. Here you go.
It fit 1,000,000 qubits on a single chip that can fit in the palm of one hand.
Feels like the Terminator.
Feels like Mark of Beast.
I mean, this has been the crux of computer advancement for our entire lives. Has just been the process of making stuff smaller and smaller to now what they're trying to do is they're trying to overcome the length of time it takes for an electron to move from one spot to the next. So every time they can make these chips smaller, it means that the electrons have less distance to travel. And now that's becoming a very real factor. Like if you were telling someone in the 70s or the 80s, like it doesn't really matter how far the components were. They were just happy that it worked. But now that we're getting, it was one of the analogies I heard is that also in the 80s and 90s, the stock market, all of a sudden the people that had their own computers and their own networks that connected directly to Wall Street. So if the closer you were in New York to Wall Street, your trades would go through before someone that was like overseas or long distance. So everyone got hip to that and they started buying or renting out spaces directly next to that stock market. So their trades would get there because now all of a sudden fractions of a second could make all the difference between a buy and a sell. And that's kind of what the same exact path that like this computers and everything has been following. It's just been getting smaller so that the information goes faster. The electrons have to travel less, and there's less like energy dissipating and being converted into kinetic energy and heat energy.
I wonder which Solomon's seal, the angels or the demons, they use for these chips that we apparently have today now. There has to be some kind of fucking witchy shit.
Every time they make the chip smaller, that's the time we get the whole second stolen from
You're not,
us.
I mean, honestly, that's not even wrong because now all of a sudden
No, some are always, she's 6D. Nobody
there's like
gets it
billions of
yet.
decisions that can now be made versus, even 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Well, even think about protection wise is they say like, oh, what is infinity? Oh, it's monkeys slamming on typewriters until they write Shakespeare. Well, that's what a computer can do by just mashing on numbers. So any password, anywhere, any key, it doesn't mean anything. So I just feel like the faster the computer,
Did you
then
guys ever watch The Last Mimsy? It's so great, and you would
no.
actually like it.
Why are you
You
talking to me in
Well, you should
British?
watch it just because it's the Alice in Wonderland
Just
of it
kidding.
all, because it totally relates to Alice in Wonderland, and, this little girl, Emma, is like
Oh, you're at a tea
yes,
party?
she, like, receives Mimsy, who is the white rabbit, and the white rabbit is, like it's just a stuffed animal, but, um, like, she's trying to relay the message that it's talking to her and everything, and it's, like, basically, like, trying to get uncorrupted human DNA because the humans of the future send it to the past, but, like, when they go and, like, look at it, the scientists actually look at the Mimsy, um, like, it has, like, biotech and it says Intel. They're like, "What the fuck?" Like, Intel, like, cards and stuff like that, Intel and technology, so it's freaking pretty awesome. You guys should actually watch it. It has that one weird fucking pervy guy that,
Tom
no, the
Hanks?
one from The Office.
Oh, you know what? He's in that show that Thomas was talking about earlier, and I couldn't remember his name either.
Talking
Thomas,
about Dwight?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dwight.
yeah. What's his real
Oh,
name?
it's on the tip of my tongue.
I could look it
I'm
up,
about to
but
think that.
I know it's so crazy. But he's definitely a creepy Haiti on the Haiti
You guys
list
should watch The Last Mimsy, though.
of people.
Chaney, you have to watch it because
Mhm.
it's Alice in Wonderland.
You know what, dude? I watched. It ended a little cheesier than I would have liked, but it had me on the edge of my seat for like the first hour, and I actually enjoyed it. But it was called The Gorge on Apple
The
TV,
Gorge. Is this about
and
Vor?
yeah, I almost thought it was about Gog Magog. Like I really thought, like, oh shit, like this is some. I'll just set it up that they introduce you to kind of Russian spy type, and then they introduce you to like an ex-Marine, and they both get special assignments, and then they end up at a tower on the edge of a gorge, and they're both across this gorge. Like let's say it's a half mile across this gorge, and they have these little gardens and they have these little things, and they're like, well, the American guy's like, what am I supposed to do here? They get traded off. There's a soldier at the post, you're there for 365 days, and then you tag out, and that guy tells you your assignment for this tower. And he's like, what am I supposed to do? He's like, there's mortars over there, there's guns over there, there's bombs over there, and you just kind of throw them down there all the time. And he's like, what do you mean? And so he like pulls a bomb and he throws it down into the middle, and you just hear like like demon sounds, and you're like, what the fuck? And he's like, what do you think's going on? And he goes, honestly, I feel like that's a hole to hell, and we're keeping him at bay. And that's like the premise. I'm not really giving anything away by that. That's like all in like the first part of the movie. But I thought it was intense, and I thought it was well done. There's parts of it like once, I don't even want to tell you where it turned or any of that stuff. You guys will know immediately, where I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, but it is curious and interesting. I think you'll be into it. I think you should watch it. But I'm like, this is what we talk about. What if like all these elite, this cabal, all these things we think they do awful, what if there's like in a White Walker way? Like, I keep playing this in my head. Would the White Walkers always have stayed at bay if the fat guy didn't take the girl from the baby factory? Like, we keep thinking it was this war that was destined to come, but wasn't there a baby factory that an old man would bring these old
Fuck his
little babies out
daughters,
to be
and then
sacrificed?
yes,
Yeah, and like, but he just took all the babies and brought them out to the White Walkers. And so we learned that all the White Walkers were actually dead things. So what were the babies? The whole thing seems like, were the babies keeping something at bay? So then it's almost like that way, that what about if there's a pit to hell and the elite are like, sorry, we need to take some of your virgin blood to keep the whole of hell at
which is
bay.
like the White Walkers, the North Wall, all of that. It's like Antarctica.
I mean, this is sort of like the
Yeah.
old religion of burnt offerings to Moloch, right? That was exactly what they were doing, and this is that binding Isaac. This is literally that story, was that he was supposed to be the last example of not having to do that anymore. But the whole premise was to appease the gods before they came asking. Like, you just wanted to like do your chores before your parents ask you to do your chores, kind of thing. That was the whole premise of that.
Really, like what the Aztecs too, because it was virgin
Yeah,
sacrifice.
they had too much fun with it though.
They did. They got a little dirty with
Yeah,
it.
they got a little carried away.
They
They
were
were
like,
having
let's
too
make
much fun.
They went beyond the
They
virgins,
had to
I
give
think.
people CTE ahead of time. What else is going on in the week? The reason that I was like, oh, Vaccination Nation, one, because I was like, fuck YouTube. I'm so
Are we
over
still
having
on
to say
YouTube
jibby
right
jabby and
now?
all this shit. I know. I
Our
don't even
audience
know if
is
we are on
YouTube,
commenting,
you're
so
on notice.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the coolest chat in the world over on Project Chaney is still commenting. So yeah, I guess we're still on YouTube for now. But also that was like one of the big things in the week, is there was like COVID-2 out, monkeypox, chikungunya, dengue fever, Zika virus. I was like, what's happening this week? It was like they were pulling out
All the
all
greatest
the
hits.
stops, because it was just, yeah, it was just like, what can
I
we
am so
scare 'em
sick and
with?
tired of people. Like, when I got sick, I got the flu, which I'm guessing was the flu. I don't go get a fucking flu test and never have, because why do I need a test to tell me that I'm fucking sick? I know I'm sick. But like the same thing, people are like, oh, do you have COVID? Like, bitch, I ain't fucking getting tested for that. Like, I'm
Will you
sick.
give me 10 paid
Yeah.
days off work, you lazy motherfuckers? Because then I'll like, I'll go grab a Q-tip out of my bathroom and swab my nose
Was
with it.
COVID
But
even real?
I don't.
No.
No, this is the whole other thing about it. Where they were like, oh my gosh, look at a mango and a cat tested for this thing, and a soda pop bottle tested for this thing. No, the tests have the thing. What are you guys not understanding? What are you not
And you know
understanding
what's
about
even
this?
funnier, Chaney? You'd show the video of the guy who created the PCR test and how he physically, with his own mouth, calls out Fauci as a con artist for misusing the fucking COVID whatever PCR test. And guess what? He ends up dead. Just like that.
Well, and that's the
Just
thing,
like
is that it tests for the common cold. So why are we now calling the cold COVID? Can y'all shut the fuck up and just call it a cold again?
They weren't producing correct
Goddamn.
results, especially that the way that they were using and testing people, they were not using it properly. It's just fucking laughable, and people still think this whole thing was real. I just cannot accept that. It was not real. They used tools to make you believe that it was real. That's what I believe.
I
Yeah.
feel like that too. I feel like some people also wanted to have it
Yep.
so bad because it was the same as like if I broke my leg on September 11th, 2022, I tell people, "Oh, I hurt myself in 9/11." Like, girl, you didn't hurt yourself in 9/11. Everybody wants so badly to be like, knew somebody there. I have this personal story. Here's my hero thing. And so, in a weird way, COVID made people like, oh, but guess what? I'm not just sick. Because when you're sick, I'll bring you chicken soup, bitch. We all get sick. Suck it up. And then some people will be like, "Ah, my husband, he's so
Oh,
weak when
she'll
he
send
gets
you
sick."
Uber
And
Eats.
it's like, yeah, or like, yeah, or I'll send
That's
you Uber
great.
Eats or something if you're far away.
But dude,
But it's just like everybody wants to be a fucking hero for just like stuff that, okay, you got
yeah.
the sniffles.
Dude, they had a whole you know those hospital shows where they show like incidents that happen in real life and whatever. So there's a whole fucking episode of this being a real thing, and I was like, "Oh my god, is this real?" So I did my own research, and apparently this is real. When they create a hysteria around your whatever city you're in, and they say, "Oh, some kind of gas leak, and it's causing neurological blah 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 blah," everyone around that area who believes this news to be true are going to start feeling symptoms, and it's not true. The story is not true at all, but they'll create a hype and a hysteria will happen, and then you get flu-like symptoms. You stop breathing, you get in panic mode, your body starts to act as if it's sick, and it becomes sick. It is so
Yeah.
strange, and it's a real fucking thing, and that's what happened.
And there's something else. That the losing your sense of smell and taste too, I will tell you, because I fucking
Mine did
lost
too.
mine and I was a fucking naysayer for years. I never get sick. I'm never gonna catch this. I don't even believe in it. Like, wow, mine never matter. And then I got this fucking thing and I lost my fucking sense of smell and taste for real. And I will tell you still right now, because I figured it out only because I've smelt this thing. Because I have one of my cats only eats chicken. And so out of laziness, sometimes I'll get him canned chicken and
Mm.
something about the smell of shit now smells like canned chicken to
Well,
me.
check this out. So going
It's
back to the
like
whole idea,
I'm
yeah.
like,
So a lot of people had that, like where meat smelled really freaking foul to them, like rotten meat.
it's
Yeah,
shitty. It's like I don't know how to say, like, one doesn't smell worse than the other.
yeah.
They smell the
Um,
same.
I had a friend who was like every kind of meat just smelled rotten and gross to her, like shit. She said like actual shit. But like, so if we're not going on germ theory and we're going on terrain theory, then we've all been poisoned, okay? And guess what? Poison takes away your sense of smell. Carbon monoxide. That'd be super fucking simple to do, and it's gonna make you sick as fuck.
Well, we know we see it all over our skies and everywhere else anyway. And all those kind of poisonings, you don't know what they're
You
gonna do
don't.
over the long haul slowly to your body. It's like all of us, your body is like an emergency zone trying to tell you these certain things. Like people are like, I have a rash all over my body. I don't know what it's from. Your skin is in dire need, like your whole organ of your skin is like, bitch, something's wrong. Danger. Stop putting that on us because we're absorbing it into your other organs. But people's organs attacking themselves, people having to take anti-organ medication because their organs are attacking themselves, all of them are vaccinated. That's wild. It's like, and then when people talk about the military and how it has like all these studies, or Bill Gates did these studies, or different things around the world. Layla's even brought it up that it was like in 2025 the world's population is going to be a third. Like, I think even that stuff, they planned for mass casualties, and everybody didn't play along. Otherwise, they'd still be doing some shit right now. And I think that USAID and all that shit, it's all gonna tumble down to this. Like, it's all gonna be like, "Oh, they pandemic'd us. Where did all this money come from? Where did it all go?" Because right now it's like they're peeling from the top down. So right now we're seeing they paid for drag queen shows in Nigeria, and they paid for to us to know about like the two lesbian dance squad in Lithuania, or like weird things. But I think we're gonna work our way down that it's like,
Congress
oh,
already,
they paid for
bruh.
all this weird.
They're like, where'd you guys get this extra 2 million or 2 billion, or I forgot what the number was. It's like, oh, it just appeared in my wealth appeared. The wealth appeared in their bank accounts. It just appeared. They didn't question it. It just magically appeared in their accounts.
What about if it's traumatic brain injury at CTE that everybody lost their smell?
It makes me think too about like Popov Industries and the Miracle Water, where you would get the Miracle Water from the televangelist and sprinkle it on your mailbox, and then just like a check from who knows where would just show up, and you'd have like $50,000.
Oh, let's do that spell.
Or there used to be like chain letters everywhere. Like that goes to spam now.
I
Like
miss
all
that.
that stuff goes to spam. But think about how much they want that magic cut. What about if it doesn't go to spam? They just killed all those witches. Like if you sent a chain letter, they were like, "Oh,
this was like
we
some
got
actual
you."
Final Destination shit.
Like, oh, your
Mom, I
attempted
only have
murder.
3
Bump,
days.
bump. That would be the funniest sketch if it was like a short little like special victims unit, and it was like knocking on a lady's door that was sending out chain letters, and like somebody died because they didn't send one to 13 of their friends. That's gonna be so
That could be an
stupid.
A24
What
horror
else?
movie.
Yeah, I like I think that movie
And
that I
it's like all
just
boomers.
said,
It
The
only
Gorge.
takes out boomers.
I think The Gorge is. I know the boomers would never see anything on A24.
Boomers are
Perfect.
It's
the
so
60s,
hip.
right? Boomers.
Baby boomers. This would have been post World War II. So any babies that came out of World War II. So
Okay.
50s, 60s.
Yeah, okay. That's my mom
40s,
and dad.
50s, 60s.
Yeah. The
Boomers. I know. I used to be such a boomer hater. Now I'm like, oh, you guys had so much propaganda on you too. You
I
didn't
kinda
do it
still
to us.
low
You had
key
it
hate
done
the
on you
boomers.
too. I don't.
Low key, I do.
My parents are
I
boomers.
don't. I feel
Mine are too.
Yeah, I feel like my mom, I feel like most boomer ladies, they would have liked to take care of their kids. Like they didn't want us to be latchkey kids, but it was like they all also were like fucking 9 to 5 was all brainwashed in them. They had to get a job, do
So
all
do
these
we.
things. Like, I don't know. Yeah,
I'm like,
I'm
what?
not saying
Like, why
anything
couldn't they?
different, but it's not they didn't do it to
That's
us.
true. It's not their
Like
fault.
like
And
yeah, they
all the
didn't
men
do
are
it. They
like
had it done to
fucking
them
war
too.
veterans, like a lot of them. So they're all fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
I can forgive my dad a lot because I know the fucked up shit he had to deal with.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just kinda I don't know. It all seems because in my little my little X-ness, it just feels like this tiny little sliver of like weirdos. But it feels like the entire X generation is a bunch of
It
weirdos.
is.
Like the entire generation,
Weird.
they're all weird, and I like it.
The whole generation thing, like there's so much, like, I don't know if I'm Generation X or Y. Like, I don't understand that, like, they're all different.
I don't know either. I mean, it's all fine lines. You're kind of raised, I don't know, and if you
I had
have
older
older
siblings.
siblings, it
Yeah.
does something different, or if your parents were older, because there was always those kids at your school that have grandparents or
I felt like that was
parents,
my parents
like
and they
that
weren't
you're
that
like
old, but they just looked old to me.
my sister has, 5 kids, so she said she got to be the young parent, now she's the old parent, and she's like, she's like, "I'll let those young moms make them cupcakes."
Yeah.
Like, she's the old mom now for her younger kids. She's like, the young moms are so excited about it. One day they'll be the old mom, and the young mom will make the cupcakes. Like,
Pass the
they want to
torch.
stay up until 3 and glitter them. She's like, they're lucky if I stop by Publix. Like, and I kind of feel that life. And my sister, I always think this. No one hated school more than her. And if you have kids, you have to go to school the entire time they do.
Helping them with their
It blows
homework.
my mind. Like,
It's like doing homework.
yeah. Talking to a teacher, I would be so mad if I had to go talk to a teacher for my kid. I'd be like, ooh. I think I told Abbie this the other day. I'd be like, I have anxiety all day, because I got to go talk to this principal. Thank you, you little.
You know what's worse though? Being a teacher and having to do all the parent-teacher conferences with the parents. Oh my God, that's awful. Like, you have the good parents, but then like the kids who really you need to talk to the parent about their kid and their behavior or their work, whatever. Those are the parents that are a pain in the ass. Glad I don't have to do that anymore.
Ugh.
It's worse. It's worse than being the parent.
Cool. The Rockefeller school system is so interesting.
It's almost like having the prison guards like talk to your parents about you being a prisoner in their little system.
And you're like
little Jimmy's not coping well in prison.
That's your fault.
And think about the kids who were bad are the kids that their brains were bucking what all of us should have been bucking. But that's where it's like those kids go to jail. And then we all get brainwashed to think those are the bad people in society.
The bad kids always liked me. I've only had like 2 kids that were like so bad that I didn't know what to do with. Like cutting his hair and cutting his shirt, and I took scissors away, but he still would do stuff like that.
That doesn't sound that bad. I mean, I remember middle school, they dosed my art teacher with acid in her coffee. Like, that sounds way worse.
I got poked with a pencil. But
there's like a whole trend on TikTok of all
crazy.
these teachers. Like, what has happened to fucking kids? Like, these are not the same. It's like a whole other species, and it's not just. It's like
the kids that are really the most fucked up. They're usually raised by grandparents or in and out of foster care, and that's the truth of it. It's just like they don't have a consistent home life.
Yeah.
Or they have a mom or whatever, but they're
phones.
transient, so they are constantly moving around and living on different people's couches, and they don't have any kind of consistency in their home.
I just don't understand if you say like your kid can't have its phone or nobody can have their phone or whatever. Everybody's thing is always, well, what if there's an emergency? What did people do in the 1800s or the 1950s or the 1980s or the 1990s? Like, it's like there's so many other times. What if there was an emergency? What are you going to do about it? Like any emergency in the world, like that your cell phone is going to help some kind of like fucking thing that I just feel like in the classroom, whether it's the teacher or the kid, like they don't need to
People
be in
didn't
there.
have access to you 24/7. Just what, like
It's
30 years
crazy.
ago.
I still don't allow that now. Any person, I've been calling you. Yeah, bitch, my phone's for me. Like it literally.
I didn't answer
I pay the bill for it, so I can get out whenever I want.
Let me pull out my phone and press record. Boom. That's the emergency. They need the views. If anything were to go down.
And this is what I will also say is weird. A great equalizer is also your camera, that it can attach to something live or give you that footage, or that it can be a great equalizer of like safety for a lot of people in the world. That be like, oh, let's see if I go live right now. How about you do back off? Because I'm live
Samson
right
takes
now.
over though, and then it's like the camera's like, oh, you're trying to record police brutality, and then it like magically puts crack in the scene, or magically puts like a gun on the
Oh, that'd be fucked up. I was gonna say, because if I was black, I would have my phone out every single fucking time I got pulled over.
Yeah, like why am I the moon?
But as a
right
woman,
now?
really should too.
I know that is so true. Like all of a sudden, but it is like Running Man, the movie or the book. You pick your choice. But where it's just like not just future crimes, but the AI gets so good at doing you and doing versions of you, and other people have seen the fake version of you so much that now it can just put a skin, like, body and thing together and now convince everybody you did this crime.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I'm like, "Ugh, it
Ye
doesn't matter. Like, perception's everything, and if the AI decides what about if it just decides, you're gonna do this anyway because 'cause we've seen the future crime of you. We've played out the future in a quantum way, so we've seen everything that all the different versions of you could do over the next 5 years, and we've realized that talking to ourselves over and over again and you doing all the things that you could do, this is most
Like,
likely
just
what
go
you're
ahead
gonna
and put the
do."
lotion on the skin. We
So
know how this ends.
yeah, like, let's just play this out because if we can get you out of society now, we see in a futuristic way how everything else is better. So then it's like, let me make your TikTok algorithm a little depressing. Maybe you'll off yourself beforehand. But it just seems like the computer could play along with these kind of narratives in a quantum way but maybe it already is. Maybe that's exactly what's fucking happening.
Well, I mean, what
probably.
happens when the AI starts looking through all of I mean, I'm sure it is now, but it realizes, okay, there is no real absolute morality or justice. So here, like for example, here's the COINTELPRO program where they actually sent, letters to Martin Luther King Jr. telling him to off himself. It would just be easier for everyone. And then the AI or the AGI realizes like, oh, this is how the world works. This is how you get things you want, is by like pushing people into these dark spots, and then it just follows the template that we've kind of laid out for it. That seems like something that it's already doing. Like technology is already making people feel a certain type of way, and that's just us doing it to ourselves unintentionally. Now imagine that the systems that we're using are actively like nudging everyone towards that direction. It seems like it would be almost child's play in order to actually have like tangible results from that.
It Like, our human brain doesn't even conceptualize what could be possible. Like, how many layers that even if you guys all perceived that I said something or did something, it wouldn't matter even on a small scale. Let's say it's not a big crime. Let's just say it's a weird tweet, but I don't know I did it. But you guys all think I did.
It's a real
I don't
thing,
know. Does that
apparently.
like you don't have your whole account? Like, you don't get to see entirely what the AI is
Yeah,
typing for you. It's making a
like
character of you.
80% of your tweets make it out, but the other 20% everyone else sees, but you don't.
Yeah, or they're fake. They're like generated by the AI. Like this whole fake perception online.
Well, I think that the truth is probably more that people will opt into that. People will opt into having a little. I mean, it already happens now, right? Like on every single email message that I start typing out, or even like on my phone when I'm starting to text something, it's like, oh, do you want to just like click this button and send this message? It's like, I wasn't really thinking that, no, but it's going to become almost a default where you just turn that option on to just always respond. Whatever you think I was going to say, just say it. It's like, what's
Well,
that movie with Adam Sandler, Click or something, where he's got like the remote control and eventually the remote control learns his
yeah.
own patterns and just starts doing it without him?
Well, that's iPhone is actually one of the newest updates. You can type out a whole text and then it will actually suggest edits for you. Like it'll actually change the whole entire text. Like I let it do it once and I was like, "Oh no, that's totally not what I'm trying to say." But I just wanted to see what it would do, but it's actually doing that now.
I'm
So
gonna
and
start only using
it'll
that to
summarize your
respond to
text for
people.
you. It'll be like, "Do you want to read the whole thing or just summarize it?" And like it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, we are wearing some pretty cool sunglasses, and I'm trying to keep them on, but this sinus headache is like fucking me up right now. So I
Being
keep taking them off so I could give my nose some like relief.
I've got actual sunglasses, but you can see the reflection of you guys in them so easily. It was distracting.
That's what
Nice.
like, every time I get the weird gleam, I
Oh,
have to,
yeah,
like, turn my
well,
head.
Yeah. Well, you can
you
see
can see
mine.
all my lights in front of me.
You're very
Look how lit
reflective.
up I am. I have so many lights in front of me.
What up, donut?
What up, donut? I didn't know donut was
What
here.
up,
What up?
donut?
What up, donut?
Oh, he's up here. What up, donut? Make sure you guys, if you don't already, follow Donut everywhere for the best in Illuminati
Yep.
news.
Wasn't he just on a trip to Asia?
Yeah, he was in
Freaking jet
Japan.
setting.
Nice.
I know. I love it. It's inspires me. I think when you are weird, you need to live weird and do the things that everybody's like, "What? What's that all about?" Just 'cause on a Tuesday, this is what I do. I don't need it to be a special occasion. I don't need to I'm not nope, I'm just doing it just because I've always wanted to. And so I think it's like, no,
He's
live a
watching
weird
us from a
life. Be
plane.
weird.
That's dope.
Look at
Nice.
he is a PJ, a private
Is
plane.
it upside down or is it right side up?
Yo, we didn't even talk about that. How fucking weird, or did we? Oh,
No, we haven't. We haven't talked about the plane
well,
crashes.
that was a total psyop for me. I'm sorry. I just don't understand. That seemed very
What
psyopish.
one? The upside down
The one that
one?
went upside down, the one Thomas mentioned.
Didn't it have no wings
I
too?
think it spun while it landed, and I think the landing gear didn't, I don't know, come out or do its thing. And I don't know the whole story, but this is the gist of what I know. And yeah, it just seemed very psyopy.
No one died, right? Like everyone
No.
survived it.
Yeah.
I just picture like Delta, we love to fly, and
So weird.
like it's so strange, but it also looks like such a tiny plane that I would be like hating it from
Something
the
about
get.
its speed too. It was like landing too fast or something like that. I'm just like too many excuses. What the fuck?
And it just
Yeah.
caught ice.
Well, speaking of plane crashes, Yellow
You know what?
Jackets season 3 is out.
I'm
I
excited
want to
about
watch The
that.
Fountain. Oh.
I heard a thing that there's less plane crashes this year than any other previous year. Like we're actually at a low in plane crashes.
Really?
And I'm like, isn't that some more, if it's true or not, wouldn't that be proof of like you used to not know what was going on in your town. Now you know what's going on in Indiana and India.
Yeah.
And so it's just the amount of news we get where before a little plane like that crash wouldn't even make the news if everyone survived. It would just be on page 6 somewhere. Like it would just be a little article. But now because we're on this news cycle of we get breaking, plane falls out of the sky, breaking, like everything's breaking, where before the news only had this much time to fill. They only had this half hour. So it had to like, is this plane really important? Does it beat this story in the news today? I don't know. But now it's like they want to inundate us with all those little stories that don't have any importance to us. And so it's like plane crash. And it's like an insurance scam that these planes need to get some big loan from a bank, the Delta, and they're like, we all need new planes, and then they all get new planes every couple of years. But all of us, like, what's the next plane going to be? I'm going to be sitting on your fucking lap, like, like they're not getting any bigger. So I don't know. Airline, I don't
Or
know.
is this some kind of code because they be using planes for a bunch of like psyopy shit in the past? So it's like, what the fuck? All of a sudden, they want to like project this plane thing at, or plane fear, or fear of flying kind of fear thing. So it's like, why the fuck are they doing this? Why is it always the plane? And is something coming that we're not aware of? And the only thing I could think of is like some kind of like market crash.
Or like what you were saying before, like all the drones all of a sudden, is there something going on? Or like all these do they want an excuse because we're not going to be allowed in the sky for a period of time?
Probably.
Like, is there like something, an anomaly that always goes on or whatever? And so they're like, oh, let's work this up in this kind. It just feels like everything's a play. Yes, it's just cold weather. Yep, goose fly into things. Yeah, things just helicopter, Blackhawks just are running exercises and just careen into things. Like sometimes shit happens, but also it seems like
Yeah.
coincidentally
Just off.
something does feel
Yeah.
off though. I want it to be all like glittery red pilled, like, huh, look at the USAID. I haven't seen any chemtrails in Florida and blank, 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 blank. Saw chemtrails yesterday. Like I was like, oh,
Don't eat the
this is
snow,
like
people. Fuck. Talk
Yeah,
about building
don't.
nanotechnology. Shit. I see little kids eating the snow. I'm like, please don't freaking do that.
So all our water is technically fucked.
Yeah. It's period.
I mean, that's where we're supposed to get all of our pharmaceuticals now. Let's do the water supply.
I wish we had a newsletter and that would be the breaking thing of like Layla
Water's
on the
fucked.
front where it was like breaking. So our water's
Yeah.
No, but I just feel like getting the same amount of importance that they're like 14 people on a roller coaster were up there for 6 hours breaking. It should be like breaking. So our water's fucked.
Yeah, so our water's fucked, which means our fish are fucked, which means our plants are fucked, which means everything is pretty much fucked. If they're dumping shit on us, which I believe they are.
I had a stone thought. This was my stone thought of the day. I was sitting at the river and the dolphins weren't there today, and I wasn't playing music. Usually if I play music loud out of my car, I know I'm like, oh, there's the dolphins or whatever, but they weren't there today. And I was thinking, how alien are fish to dolphins? Like they're not any more of the same creature. It's almost like they breathe air. It's so wild to me, and they eat
Yeah.
these fish.
And they can turn their brain
Like they're
off or half of it, right?
I feel like what dolphins can do is next level shit. They're just communicating with me now, probably making
Well,
me
they were
say
the
this.
second smartest
Don't you?
creature on Earth in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Mice were first.
Huh. I think Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is good. I need to watch that again. Or read it. I know. I need to read it. The book is good. That's what Abbie was going to say.
But the movie's good too. I like the movie.
Shout out to dolphins.
There's a
So long, and
whole
thanks for the
thing
fish.
on TikTok about dolphins now, because there was this girl who was talking to ChatGPT, the new version, about like dolphins and what are the hidden secrets about dolphins, and that turned into something bigger. Like there's a whole fucking stream of dolphin information that you can like, well, we have Donut here of course, but like everyone's starting to go down this dolphin rabbit hole like now, and things that we've been talking about for years. It's all like happening now. 2025.
What is it from the
Evergreen? Oh,
lasting wow is
Oh,
happening now
I
or
don't know.
something. And it's kind of in this way of information and this snowball or like inner spiral that because of it all at our fingertips and the algorithm and the TikTok and how quickly we're taking in information. They even say like people with ADD, they can take in like 4 times the speed what a normal person auditorily could. Like they can just turn up. And so how quickly they could they're almost speed reading auditorily. So now think of how much information in a day if you're just like, I'm laying in bed for 2 hours and I'm going to play on TikTok. Think of how much real information you can take in that amount of time that's now specified for your brain, that it's like getting like filed. Like let's say in a good way. This is happening to all of us, that what did take, it could have been like where I could be like, I've been looking into conspiracies since 2002. Well, I used to have to gather books slow and meet somebody and then read a new thing that I might be able to dissect this one book or this one idea, however slowly. Now you can do that same amount of work in a few hours. It's like tick, 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 tick. You could just pull it and find it and then find other people, 10 different guys that have done the same amount of work on one topic. So it's like we're all kind of doing that in information.
I believe Donut even mentioned something just before talking about like the spring equinox happening now, like for March. And I feel like everyone's going to go down the demonizing March rabbit hole or like just turn March into this dark thing when March is probably the month of like beginnings, rebirth, newness, life starting again. Like it's that's like the whole Pisces of it all and like the Jesus of it all and like the cleansing. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of like down talk of this month and they always do it every year, like something about the freaking eclipses that happen in March. But yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot of that happening, like demonizing of that month.
Well, that's what March is for, because March being the month of Mars was specifically because that was the time of the year that the weather cleared up that you could go back to war. So it became like the month of war for that reason.
Well, and they always said like in like a lion, it comes in like a lion and out like a lamb. So it's supposed to start kind of brutal.
Wait, March is not representative of Mars, is it?
That's the name March and Mars.
Huh.
Because that's the time of year that finally, like with the spring equinox, where it's winter is supposed to be completely over, so that you can send your army back into battle again and not worry about them succumbing to the weather.
There's a depiction of the spring equinox on the flat earth.
And also Donut said going down the dolphin blowhole, and I was like, because Layla, you said going down the dolphin rabbit hole, and my mind was like, wait, there's got to be a better word for that. Donut came up with it.
If Mar is really the sea, then what about if it wasn't us always going back to war? What about if it was us going back into the ocean?
Yeah,
like what if that would be a time that like because I do think there's something, and it's weird because the chat was talking about it right at the beginning of the night, something totally different, but I just saw Seven Sisters and it made me think of the Pleiades. And I think there's something with them and the ocean, and Mars might be the time they come back out. But I don't know. Like it might be something like that. But it is interesting that Mars is war, but then when did the god Mars become the god Mars? When was that put in the zeitgeist?
I don't know.
I mean, is it Roman? Is it Grecian? Like,
I thought Mars was for like the
because
day.
it's not like
Mars is Roman.
So it's like a Nephilim.
Yeah, Aries is Mars.
Yeah. And so then Aries is also the first sign in the zodiac. So it's like March. Like, yeah, that is like a March of the Titans. I don't know.
Very interesting.
It's so interesting.
Very interesting. I don't
Spring.
know.
I don't know. Anything else going on this week?
Well, speaking of crazy month stuff, and since Donut's here too, I just got an update from the printer that's doing our Illuminati comic. But one of the surprises, if anyone hasn't been paying attention, is that everyone that ordered one of those Illuminati comics is going to get an occult calendar, and it basically breaks down every different month and has like little backstories, and we even got all of Donut's readings for like all the 128 days and all the 237 days and all the 33 days are all sort of like marked in all this calendar. So as soon as those get in, I'll be showing them off constantly. It's one of the coolest things ever.
I want one of those calendars.
That's so rad. One of the coolest things I feel like merch-wise that I ever got from I wish I knew what podcast it was now because it was like 3 years ago that they did this, but they did such a killer job on every month and like, putting all the esoteric stuff on the days and what the phase of the moon was and what stars are where and if something was and I was just
It's like that, but
"This
way more
calendar is amazing."
schizo. Way more schizo.
I love it. I'll love it even more then. So, yeah, that's perfect. I think we keep getting in the conspiracy realm of things word that the Epstein list is in the hands of like the Justice Department and
Didn't we
Trump.
already see like a million times? Right?
I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know it will be funny for anons if that list is what they release,
Yeah.
won't it? The list that every person, it doesn't even matter if they were ever involved in Q or not. If you ever looked up Epstein flight logs and all the stuff that it's like, here's all the names, Chris
Yeah, we
Tucker
had the
and,
actual
Tom
flight
Hanks and Bill Clinton
log
and
print, photocopies
Yeah.
of it.
So it's like so what else is gonna be on
Eminem.
No.
these besides Eminem and all that. So it is interesting that it's like it would be funny. It's the exact list. Like they're like, here's the list at a computer copy, and you're like, what? This is like a literal picture. Like I lost an account for this list. But this would be one of the things, like we were talking about vaccines at the beginning. Epstein would have been a thing you would have lost an account about.
Frazzle dazzle
Like if you would
also.
have put up anything. Yeah. No, say I feel like it frazzle drip. The news is allowed to say these things, but if we say them now on YouTube,
Yeah.
In the early
Whoop.
2000s, Alex
Like-
Jones used to talk about the Epstein Lolita Express all the time, and all other news organizations looked on that as him shooting from the hip and just opening himself up to libel. And it probably was for a majority of that time, although no one ever really fought him. And he kind of used that example of like the reason they haven't come after me is because they know that that'll bring attention to it for people to look into it. So I don't know, but for the longest time, the mainstream was like, oh, that's libel. We're not going to go anywhere near that. It would be the similar thing to I guess the topic of this show, like vaccines, right? You just don't even mention the word because you could be dinged for medical misinformation or who knows what else until it comes out that really was it all along, and then retroactively, you almost erase the censorship that existed to begin with.
I know, and then it's like the censorship can't be there for I'm playing with this on X now. I write things and I'm like, I want to see the community note on this. Where's the community note on because I'm like, Tom Hanks is a pedo. I just want to see
That's
a
the
community
dangerous
note
precedent, because
like,
if you community know everything, then it means that the things that don't get the community note, there's almost like an implied agreement.
Yeah.
And that's
That's true.
dangerous. It's dangerous to get people into that sort of mentality.
But then it's like, at what point of any amount of information or things that how many coincidences until you have to say something about it? Like even in a Bill Gates thing, like your eugenics, we link your dad to here, we link Microsoft to here, we link these things to here. How long till you have to answer for these things? And the whole world thinks this thing. Why are we pretending anything different other than this thing? But I think that about like, I don't know, Tom Hanks too. Like there's a lot of stuff that you guys have to answer
I don't think
about.
they ever really do have to
It'll be
answer
curious.
though. Like the Bush family, right? How many generations of Bush have we already been through? We're on like the 4th generation now. And they haven't necessarily answered for helping fund Germans in World War II.
Yeah. Yeah, even I hope that would be fun stuff to come out.
Great
Like
come out.
USA.
You know what would be great? The woman behind the
Yeah, it is
fucking
crazy.
magazine holding her hand up, which reminded everybody that it was the hand of Princess Diana with fucking Sylvester Stallone. Was it Sylvester Stallone with his Q hat on a fucking private jet?
Yeah.
I'm on that
Where
timeline.
everybody, you know what? It's so crazy because looking back at that, when you look at all the comments, people are like,
Yeah.
Diana. Like people are
Yeah.
dead in the comments. Like it's not even like they're like, what the fuck is
You can see
happening
What's the
her
here?
reference to Diana here?
hair. Her hair.
Okay,
Oh
let's
my
see
god.
if I can.
It's her. Her hand
Sylvester
gesture.
Stallone's
This gave it away. The way
ghost.
she says
I forget that.
hi. Like I don't say hi like that. I'm like, hi. I'm like a fucking retard. Her way of saying hi in every picture is this like very gracious, you know, W. It's like hi.
Okay.
And she was
This
hiding behind a
picture.
magazine. You could see her bushy like fucking hair, but it could be just a fucking psyop.
Everyone keeps talking about bushes.
And she's behind a
Yeah,
specific book
Holding Olivia.
too. Here it's this post.
this one.
And so this back here, people are like, that is Diana.
Look at the hair on the side poking out of the book.
I feel underqualified to make a call here.
Yeah.
Well, you have to see all her pictures in her
Every
hand. It's just always like that.
and then he has the Q hat on in the middle of a
Mhm.
storm.
What the? So I mean, I understand the implication here, but what the hell is Princess Diana doing with Sylvester Stallone?
Because they're part of the White
Every
Hats,
last
apparently.
weekend.
That's the whole point. Like, there's a group
Okay.
of people who are against the cabal. Okay.
The,
Okay,
Anyone
I've heard
take
of
the
down
big
the
secret
cabal.
society of good guys.
I've heard of there's a version of this in Japan called the White Dragon Society that a guy named Benjamin Fulford, who was a financial reporter, he went over to Japan and he claims that he ran into this White Dragon Society, which are basically like the white hat Illuminati that are constantly fighting back against everyone. So that's what this sounds like. Like Sylvester Stallone and Princess Di are part of this White Dragon Society.
Like a secret
That's
society of
exactly
good
what it
guys.
is, yeah.
I
Michael
know I'm
Jackson's in
like
it.
a fellow lady of leisure, a life coach with an off-the-rack dresses, personal issues, and a husband who hasn't delivered. She's anxious to move up in the world. The beautiful new town is in step with the right directions. Also, as Nina's secret fixation grows, so does her friendship with Kat. But beneath their cordial interactions is a wealth of temptation, secrets, and toxic jealousy for both women. That's a weird book to be reading. Every Last Secret.
This sounds like a Real Housewives season.
I know. I don't
Central
know. This is
casting.
a perfect way. Anything going on this week you guys have to
No, not
plug?
for me.
I've been going into overdrive with Occult Disney, so if anyone wants to come and hang out in the chat on the premieres, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the next couple months, I'll be premiering. The ultimate goal is to catch up so that when I record an actual episode, I can drop it like a week afterwards. Because right now I've got like a massive backlog from the freaking Illuminati comic campaign. So yeah, if you got nothing else going on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays at around 3 Eastern, that's usually when these premiere. They're about 90 to 2 hours, and the chat is always awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. I'll check it out.
I will be hanging out potentially next week on Spaces a little bit with Club Maha. But if you're on X, I might be live sometime around 1 Eastern time during the week. So if you do follow me, it will say live around my name and you can hop in the room and say hey or just listen or whatever. So yeah, come over to X and see what it's all about. Cause like we were talking about earlier, there's a good chance YouTube will just kick us off the air tonight. And so it does store all of the old episodes so you can listen to, but you could also easily go over to Thomas and listen to his live episodes all on the same platform. It's kind of nice and you don't have to be censored.
I'm surprised we lasted this long.
So I know it's kind of, unless we are on the highest possible timeline right now, and we don't know unless we poke the Ursa Major. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out as long as you always do. Make sure you hit the bell or thumbs up or something on the way out. And we love you and we'll see you very soon. Make sure you turn your volume down because Juliette Lewis is
Blah,
on
blah.
one. Okay. Bye
Can you
bye.
save us, Britney Spears? Can we be saved? God, why is Satan controlling the universe?
Here comes the Here comes the world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing who our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys. Witches, widows, MAGA, mystics, entertaining cunnilinguist good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically good guys. Conspiracy, sex, culture, makings, it's okay to change your thinking. Good guys, good guys, good guys, good guys. The world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing who our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys. Witches, widows, MAGA, mystics, entertaining cunnilinguist good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically good guys. Conspiracy, sex, culture, makings, it's okay to change your thinking. Good guys, good guys, good guys, good guys.
You're still here? It's over.